in Screener, basically, this is like the website that is used to now. What I'm going to do is do a 101 over here, like the basics, absolute basics, basically. Like somebody who is like you can say fresh out of college and they do not know anything about investments, basically. Because generally speaking, according to like earlier made videos and earlier made literature also, the general recommended formula is like some percentage of your wealth should be in equity, right?
Hmm.
Publicly traded equity in general, because it is very difficult to get access to private rounds and things like that, correct?
Right.
So some should be in real estate, some should be in FDs and fixed deposit, and that those debt based low interest but secure investments kind of a thing, basically.
Right. Right.
Some should be liquid. So
Hmm.
what are we trying to do? We are trying to kind of get a split, or get a uh, an idea about how an investor should invest, basically. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it should seem something like this to start with, basically. Investment pyramid kind of a thing. But instead of a pyramid, I'll just draw this. I have talked
Okay.
with earlier also in various different entrepreneurship sessions, that
Right.
we generally have like sessions with people, right? So basically, this is like your FD, fixed deposit,
Right.
right? Which is going to give you base stability.
Hmm.
Then real estate. Sometimes you can even put real estate over here, like
Hmm.
the real estate that you own and
Hmm.
live in, basically. That real estate can be put over here.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
real estate as an investment. So you can
Hmm.
say real estate as an investment. Okay. So
Hmm.
this is like your base level. So if
Right. Okay.
FD is like a kind of liquid cash. So unless you have liquid cash, you can't really do anything, basically, in life.
Correct. Correct.
So
Correct.
this is
Yeah.
kind of your base level. So some amount of, let's say, gold and silver or precious metals, for the sake of,
Hmm.
just for hedging against inflation, because governments keep printing money, right? So
Hmm. Hmm.
just the value of gold keeps going up, basically, and it always beats the inflation, usually speaking, over a
Okay.
long run, because the amount of gold in the world remains the same and the amount of
Right.
currency keeps going, basically. So the currency
Right.
that corresponds to that amount of gold inflates the price of gold. So
Right.
some percentage of the portfolio can kind of be like in gold, basically. Okay.
Right. Right.
Then after that, according to the risk appetite, comes private equity.
Hmm.
Okay. Then own businesses,
Okay.
and then speculation,
Okay. Okay. Right.
like cryptocurrency, etc. So this is kind of the pyramid. The lower
Right.
levels are lower risk, and hence they form the foundational base stability, basically.
Hmm. Right.
So I had once made a calculation for the general Indian middle class. It requires, I think, somewhere between 5 to 7 CR to spend the entire life, you can say.
Okay.
So that much amount a general average middle class person is going to spend as
So
of
life
the
from birth to, do you mean
birth
from
till death.
birth to,
Birth till death, 100 years, basically.
okay. And does this include any, does not include family, I presume, then
No family. Only
okay.
one individual.
One
One
individual.
single individual,
Right,
basically.
right.
So some numbers we have to kind of understand. Na? So this is the
Hmm.
middle class life, basically, right?
Right,
Not
right,
not too bad, not too good, basically. That kind of a
right,
life.
right.
So if but this is like basically adjusted to 2023 inflation rates.
Right,
So
correct.
if you are talking about 2000, then it would probably be like 3 crores rather than 7 crores,
Hmm.
example. And if
Right,
you are
right.
talking about 2040, then it will probably be 15 crores instead of 7 crores, basically.
Okay, okay.
So as of 2023, it's 7 CR INR, basically.
Hmm.
So 7 CR INR, approximately $1 million USD as of 2023.
Okay.
The average Indian middle class life I'm talking about right now,
Yeah.
basically. So the average US middle class life might require spending of, let's say, instead of 1 million USD, it might require 3 to 5 million USD. The average
Acha.
middle class USA life, from starting of life to end of life, basically, like
Acha.
that.
Okay.
I
Okay.
am assuming wise financial decisions also, like for example, not necessarily going to a school, college, and indebting yourself, basically, with respect to the school
Okay.
and college.
Okay. Right. Right.
Because
Right.
learning can happen outside of school and college, and even better outside of school and college also, basically.
Right. Right. Got it.
And I'm assuming like it's like there are no major accidents and
Hmm.
illnesses that take away money, etc. So this
Makes
is just
sense.
the regular day to day. So anything
Okay.
extra is extra on top of this, basically.
Okay.
Like
Okay. Got it.
black swan events and like debt, student debt, or any other kind of debt for expansion. So that is on
Right.
top of this, basically.
Right.
So this is like a general heuristic. 7 CR as of 2023 numbers, middle class life, basically. Okay.
Right.
And I'm not even talking about upper middle class, lower middle class. No, this is like the middle class, basically,
Okay.
middle
Okay.
of middle class. But if you look at some numbers, now we can even just look at some numbers, basically. That day I was just randomly chat GPTing, basically.
Hmm.
So I have some numbers with me. So, like this is off the top of my head. Uh, if the net worth is somewhere like if the net worth of a person is somewhere close to $1 million, then they are in the top 1% of the entire world, basically.
Okay.
In India, what happens is only 3 to 5 CR people pay taxes. Okay, we can just Google this quickly.
Okay.
What the
Hmm.
percentage of people who pay taxes in India? Okay,
Hmm.
mm, 6.25%.
Okay, like in tax culture, 6.25%. Correct.
Yeah, tax payable
Only
individuals
about
who
8
pay.
crore people, 8.2 crore.
Yeah, 8.2 crore. And you can imagine that there is a Pareto there as well, right?
Yeah, correct.
There is a
Yeah,
Pareto there as well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
8 crore people out of 132 or 140 crore people are paying taxes. So you can imagine that most of the other people are below the what is the current non-tax payable tax slab, basically 5 lakh, basically something
5 lakh. Okay, okay.
5, 5, 6, 7 lakh. So that, like you can say, not more than 8 crore people in India are earning more than 5 lakh rupees per annum. We are talking about here,
Hmm.
and that puts at 6.25%, basically.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Now, even if you adjust for black money and all these things, like people want to avoid taxes and all these factors, you can
Right.
take it as top 8% to 9%, basically, right?
Correct, correct. Yeah, correct.
And in that also, if you let's go to the level of 12 to 18 lakhs, basically.
Hmm.
So top top 1% income level in India. If we
Okay.
Google this, then it comes out to be the net worth of 1.45 CR. So if you have a net worth of 1.45 CR, let us say,
Right,
and
right.
then you are in the top 1% of India. Now,
Yes.
net worth means what exactly? Like if you sell
Yeah.
everything that you have, including your clothes, possessions, like properties, like investment portfolio, everything. If you sell
Hmm.
everything that you have, then
Hmm.
what you get in your hand is your net worth, basically.
Correct, correct.
Right. So if 1.45 CR is the net worth, then you are in the top 1%.
Yes.
Now let's understand that net worth doesn't imply
Hmm.
cash in hand. It
Right,
implies when everything is sold, everything is liquidated at fair market prices,
right.
what will be in your hand, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Typically speaking, an investor generally earns in between 5 to 10% of their net worth on a per annum basis.
Okay.
So I will give an example over here. I have a property in Mumbai. I had
Hmm.
purchased that property for approximately 1.5 CR.
Right.
Now so this was 8 years ago. Today's valuation will be around 2 CR, basically.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. It should be 2.5 CR but because of COVID, there are deflations in the real estate prices right now in this cycle. And that property earns a rental yield of 83K per month,
Acha. Okay.
plus maintenance, etc. if we include, which actually the tenant pays. So it's 90K per month, basically.
Okay.
And that's a very typical thing. So let's take
Hmm.
1.5 CR to 2 CR and let's kind of devalue it a little, basically, just for the margin of safety principle. Let's
Hmm.
assume that the property is of worth 1.8 CR. So
Okay.
the rental yield that I'm getting out of it right now is around 90K.
Correct.
So this is actually very this is a commercial property in a prime location, basically. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So for flats, like for example, one of the flats that I have, like ancestrally, that we have basically under our financial jurisdiction or control,
Hmm.
that flat was bought in 2005 for
Acha.
20 for 20 lakhs.
Okay. Okay.
Now in 2023, the same similar flats in the same building got sold for 1.2 CR. That's not on the market for us for selling.
Hmm.
So the
Hmm.
current value is 1.2 CR, basically.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the
Right.
rental yield is 30K. The rental yield is 30K.
Okay.
Yeah, for that flat.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
can even like write it down, basically. Even I'll
Okay.
write it down. Yeah.
Right. Um. So what I'll do is I'll just create some Google Doc or something. No?
Yeah, that also works. And in the meanwhile, I am writing down on the this thing board,
You're okay. Okay. Okay.
on the whiteboard,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of
SB.
course. Of course. So then we can do that. Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, that is also good.
30K.
for 1.2 CR worth
Yeah.
property, and I
Right.
get 90K for uh, my guesstimate is that it will get sold for 2 CR. We bought it
Right.
for 1.5 CR. Let's do a
Right.
margin of error thing and let's put it at 1.8 CR just for
Right.
safety kind of a thing, basically. So this
Yeah.
is this is monthly yield basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yearly yield will be up obviously into 12.
Into 12. So,
Correct? Here
huh.
also here also yearly yield will be into 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is like 3.6 L. Okay.
Uh, that 10.8 L. Yeah.
10.8 L. This is yearly yield. This is all
Yes.
before taxes, basically. This is all before taxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's take a company. Let's say I have a hypothetical company, which I don't basically because these are individual properties that I own. But let's
Hmm.
take a hypothetical company. This is a residential property and this is a commercial property.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this is how typically like the portfolio of a real estate investment trust might look like basically. Okay.
Acha.
So
Okay. Okay.
let's take a hypothetical company. All right.
Hmm. Hmm.
So now let us Google what are income statements. So with respect to this example, let's put income statements. Income statement and how to read it. I think
Okay.
the first Investopedia article is fair enough,
Ah.
basically.
Income statements and how to read it.
Yeah,
I got a bench, Investopedia, how to read and use it, right?
yeah, yeah. So if we try to make an income statement from this, what
Hmm.
would be the income basically? Like this is a very simple case. Like I
Right.
know the numbers off the top of my head because they are my property.
Right.
So generally, see in income statements, like what happens is like what is the income that you are getting, then what are the like COGS basically, cost of goods sold basically,
Hmm.
and then what are the expenses. So
Correct.
on
Correct.
yeah, so the properties are currently not on EMI, but let's say if they were on EMI, then I would be paying let's say 50K on each basically,
Yeah.
50K EMI, and maybe on this one I would be paying let's say 80K something like that
Right.
EMI if they were on EMI basically.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So this is like kind of the cost of goods sold
Hmm.
equivalent basically.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Correct.
Yeah. So after a while, you are gaining capital gains basically. That is what you are getting. If you own these properties outright, then you
Hmm.
are earning 10.8 L plus 3.6 L on a
Yes.
yearly basis.
On a yearly basis. Right.
Now there are many terms here basically. There are terms like return on equity or book value basically. Now
Hmm.
this company does not produce anything else. This hypothetical company or entity that we set up, it does not produce anything else.
Right.
So the book value of the company would be this only 1.2 CR plus 1.8 CR, which is 3 CR. This
Hmm.
will be the book value of the company, basically.
Correct. Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
So here we are seeing, and there is no cost of goods sold. Let's assume that everything I own, basically, everything the company owns. So there
Okay.
is no COGS, there is no cost of goods sold, basically.
Right.
Okay. There is no personnel expenses or marketing expenses here.
Hmm. Hmm.
Usually we deduct general and administrative expenses and then we deduct marketing expenses also. So there is
Right.
the top
Right.
line revenue
Hmm.
basically,
Hmm.
GST including GST. So first you deduct GST. Okay. So that
Right.
is pure revenue without GST, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, means without the transactional tax basically. If you are talking about the world context or like the value added tax.
Yeah.
Okay. So let us say a company is earning something on the top line. So
Hmm.
after that top line, you deduct the GST or like VAT basically, transactional tax, so as to say
Yeah.
that governments which have a monopoly over violence usually charge basically. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we are modeling this from a business perspective. Now
Right.
after deducting that basically, after that you deduct the COGS basically, whatever is the cost of goods
Cost
sold.
of goods sold. Correct.
You can say the manufacturing cost and that kind of a thing basically.
Yeah.
After that you deduct marketing
Hmm.
because there will be some amount of marketing that will be required basically.
Right.
For
Right.
example, in order to put this properties upon rent, basically, I had to pay to some brokers or pay to some, you can say, people who give leads, right? Basically,
Right.
from lead generation website, that kind of
Right.
a thing, like Makan.com and like real estate portals, you can say, real estate lead matching portals, that kind of a thing,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So that is the minuscule marketing expense. It was less than 50K, I believe, basically, for both the properties included,
Hmm.
inclusive of both the properties. Okay.
Right.
It was less than 50K. So
Okay.
now the fund, yeah, now the funda is this, that 50K is my one-time marketing spend.
Right.
So in entrepreneurship, it is also very important to try to understand whether the expense is going to be one-time expense or it's going to be a recurring
Recurring.
expense in
Right.
general. So that
Yeah.
was my one-time marketing spend. Using that, I could like put up these two properties on rent, and they started generating revenue. On a monthly basis, they are generating a revenue of 30K plus 90K. You can say 120K
Right.
on a monthly basis they are
Yeah.
generating
Yeah.
in general, basically. Huh? And so that means 14.4 L per annum, basically,
Yeah.
and
Correct.
total.
Yeah.
So there is no marketing expense here. It was a one-time marketing expense. Like that's kind of satiated. GNA, general and administrative, is there basically because there will be some wear and tear, repair, maintenance, and all these like coordination kind of things,
Right.
etc. And
Right.
property tax I have to, like, the according to the contract, the maintenance the tenants are going to pay, and the property tax I have to pay basically.
Right. Right.
Electricity bill, maintenance, tenants are going to pay, property tax I have to pay. So there
Right.
will be some GNA expenses. Usually, maybe I might appoint you can say I might pay some broker 5,000 rupees per month to just keep a check on the properties basically. Like if I'm
Mm-hmm.
earning, let us say 1.2 L, then probably I can pay a broker 5,000 rupees to just, go visit, check with the authoritative person so that I don't actually have to go and visit and things like that. Because I
Correct.
have least interest in visiting my properties to check whether everything is happening properly, etc., etc. So I
Right.
would rather hire somebody to do this basically,
Right.
because I have like more interesting things to do, more challenging, more intellectual things to do than just to visit properties and check out things whether like everything is in order and things like that generally.
Right.
So
Right.
against those 5,000 rupees, the potential broker in the area might visit the property twice in a month or something like that, kind of a deal I
Mm.
will have, and he or she can asynchronously report back to me as to how and what are things going on basically
Yeah. Yeah.
in the property.
Yeah.
Now, for the bigger property, I got 4L as deposit, and for the smaller property, I got 2L as deposit basically.
Oh, right.
So,
Okay. Okay.
so that deposit amount is also there, 6L.
Right. Right. So
Now,
interest on that becomes income again, right?
interest on that is also an yearly accrued basically payment. So
Right.
it's
Right.
approximately 6% at the current FD rates basically.
Okay. Okay.
So 6% of 6L is 36K. That is a yearly thing.
Right.
So
Got it.
you can say that 36K kind of offsets the broker fees and some maintenance costs
Ah.
and
Okay. Okay. Right. Right.
approximately 1 lakh rupees is the property tax, including both basically. Okay.
Acha. Okay. Okay.
So these are in GNA basically. Okay. So after GNA, then what remains basically will be my, you can say, gross profit, and from in fact actually gross profit will come at the top. After you remove the cost of goods sold, only gross profit comes, and
Okay.
after
Okay.
you subtract all these expenses, then net profit comes basically.
By
Okay.
the way, are you referring to any?
No, I'm not like, I'm just
Not.
talking,
Nah.
I'm not,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
referring to
Okay. Yeah.
anything.
Just
Okay.
continue. Huh.
So
Right.
like the revenue minus the cost of goods sold is going to lead us to gross profit.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Got it.
So I'll write down over here now on
Hmm.
the board. So
Hmm.
here you have the revenue, over here,
Yeah.
right?
Correct. Correct. Revenue.
So from revenue, you have to first subtract GST and transactional taxation. So you can say this is like
Yes.
pure
Yes.
revenue basically
Hmm.
after transactional taxation. Okay.
Yeah.
Then here you subtract the cost of goods sold.
Cost of goods sold. Right.
Then you get the gross profit.
Yeah.
So let us say revenue is 100 and your cost of goods sold in my case is currently nothing. Generally, it can be considered as the EMI and so on and so forth, because that is like the cost that I am bearing in order to have that good or product basically.
Right.
So gross profit can be like, just as an example, in this particular case, you can just take it as 90, just as a hypothetical thing. So
Right.
out of 100, like when you subtract all these things, actually GST is only 18%.
18.
So it cannot be 90. Let's take this as 70 basically.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Hmm.
So my gross is 70. Let's say if I sell something of 100 rupees, then my gross is 70. So you can say gross profit margin is 70%, or gross margin is 70% basically.
Right. Right. Got it.
Now you subtract marketing expenses here, you subtract general and administrative expenses, you
Hmm.
subtract depreciation basically,
Right.
and then you get something called as the net profit.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, in fact, in net profit here, there is one term before that. You can say even before subtracting depreciation, basically.
Right.
Here, I'll get one term called as EBITDA.
Hmm. Right.
Yeah, EBITDA
Earnings
is what?
before
Earnings
interest
before
tax.
yeah, before income tax, depreciation, and amortization. Now, from
Right. Right.
EBITDA, you kind of subtract income tax, you subtract depreciation, subtract amortization basically, and
Hmm.
then you get the net profit that remains with you basically.
Yes. Yes. Right.
So this, and these are the margins basically. So EBITDA margin. So let's say this is costing you, let's say 20. So EBITDA will be at 50 basically, right?
Right.
Example. This is just an
Right.
example that I'm showing. So let's say you sell something for 100, gross, like after COGS, basically cost of goods sold, 70 remains with
Hmm.
you.
Hmm. Hmm.
EBITDA will be 50, basically,
Hmm.
for
Hmm. Hmm.
example.
Hmm.
And then finally, like income tax also have to pay on the 14.4 that I'm earning, 14.4 lakhs per annum that I'm earning.
Right.
So after
Right.
income tax and depreciation, now what is the meaning of depreciation? Let's say I had a car or something like that, or let's say
Right.
this company for managing buys a phone and gives the phone to that employee. The phone costs, let's say, 10,000 rupees. So I can
Right.
claim depreciation on that phone because the value of that asset is decreasing year by year.
Yes. Yes.
So I can subtract that depreciation basically, and
Right.
then amortization. So
Right.
amortization is like, let's say my company has some goodwill with this world, right?
Okay. Okay.
And that amount of goodwill is decreasing with time.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
Or else if it is not decreasing with time, it requires certain amount of money to maintain.
Maintain. Right. Right.
Yeah. So that is kind of amortization basically. Like I'm just
Hmm.
explaining in short, basically.
Right. Right.
And then I'll get the net profit. So
Hmm.
let's say this is 40, the net profit can be 20 or 30, etc. 20
Right.
or
Right.
30. Remember one time I told you that 90% of our effort just goes. So if you're selling something of 100, you are maybe left with only 20, 30. There are
Correct. Correct.
companies that are operating with paper thin net margins also. So the net
Hmm.
margin
Hmm.
in this example is only 20% basically.
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes
Correct.
there are companies that are operating with net margin of 5%, 2%, 1% as well. Some
Hmm.
companies of 30% and so on and so forth. So it
Right.
depends upon industry to industry, sector to sector, basically.
Right.
And
Right.
this is kind of the income statement that we went through right now, right?
Okay. Okay. Right.
This is just a
Right.
simple example that I'm trying to construct, basically. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm. Right.
So now what we will do is let's analyze, I think Gillette company. I think
Okay.
Gillette we can analyze and we can
Okay.
read the income statements of Gillette and even the cash flow statements and the
Yeah.
balance sheets of Gillette. And we can
Okay.
try to understand every single thing that they have over there, basically.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Okay.
And
Okay.
then you can
So,
ask your doubts also so that, brain jogs in the direction of investment and value investing
right.
and trying to understand value of companies and so on and so forth.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. So how to do that? Gillette in India, Gillette in okay, just yeah, Gillette India Limited. Yeah,
Yes, India.
Gillette has Gillette has registered as a public company in India. Okay.
Okay.
So one thing basically, just one thing.
Hmm.
Whenever we see something, maybe we can have dark mode enabled.
Hmm.
Uh, maybe we I think we need to log
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, dark. Okay,
Got
dark.
it.
Yeah, dark is better, no?
Yeah.
Indian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fine. I think you should log in basically so that we can use tools also basically. Just
Hmm.
log in with the high on physics. Yeah, get free account. Right, yes, correct. Save it also.
Hmm.
Yeah, saving is not required, but
In this case, anyway, it will just
yeah, exactly.
auto login.
Add
So, yeah.
companies here. Here, add companies to watch list.
So
Say
Gillette
Gillette
Cooper.
India, Gillette India Limited. So Gillette is a very typically easy one to understand. Basically, there is
Acha.
nothing great about it. So let's see this. Okay. So all these things they are submitting. See, companies, publicly traded companies have to submit everything, right? So
Right.
you see
Right.
upcoming results, quarterly results, everything you can see over here. And if you pay screener.in, maybe more parameters you will get to see basically.
Acha. Acha.
Same with other screening platforms like Money Control, Zerodha, etc., etc. Yahoo Finance, Money Control, Zerodha. These are some of the other Grow, etc. These are some
Okay.
of the other platforms basically.
Acha.
We are platform agnostic. We just care about the data basically.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Right.
So there are like we can even build Excel financial models to check what we want to see about a company and what
Right.
like we are essentially as investors going to create filters, right? As
Hmm.
to like which company passes those filters, so it is
Right.
a good company for our investment and so on and so forth.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so let's go to Gillette India Limited, the company itself basically. Huh, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, exactly. So a couple of things over here. The stock price doesn't matter.
Hmm.
The stock price doesn't matter for multiple. Like for example, you see, go up, go up.
You mean when it comes to valuing the
No,
company,
no,
that's what you mean, right?
I'll explain. I'll explain.
Right.
So currently, what is the stock price of Gillette India? 5692.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if let us say I double the number of shares, then the stock price will automatically become half.
Yes, yes, that's true. Correct.
Now, if I quadruple the number of shares, the stock price will automatically become one fourth, basically.
Yes, yes,
If
right.
I combine shares, the stock price will automatically become double.
Double. Right.
So for a novice investor, let us say somebody is a child, basically, a five,
Hmm.
10-year-old child. What will they
Right.
think? They will think that, oh, this is 5,600, so that the value would be proportional to that, basically, kind of a thing.
Right. But
If,
it's
if
meaningless.
yeah, that is completely meaningless, basically.
Right.
Fully and totally meaningless. Okay.
Yes. Outside the like, unless you also know how many shares are there. Yeah. Like it's. I think it's
Yeah,
both
so
together.
basically,
Yeah.
we are ignoring the stock price for all intents and purposes,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
What we are going to look at is the market cap.
Market cap. Right.
So 18,551 is the market cap. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Now, somebody might not understand, who is extreme novice, may not understand what is the meaning of market cap. So
Hmm.
that's why I'm going to do this session with you. Just go to
Yes.
the new tab and search what is market cap, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, market capitalization. What does it
Yeah.
say? The value of a company that is traded on the stock market, calculated by multiplying the total number of shares by the present share price. So this is the
Yes.
valuation of a company, the total value, the net worth of a company rather than an individual.
Yes. Yes. Right.
So
Correct.
today, if we sell this entire company, how much will we get?
Yes.
Roughly speaking. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if the market cap is 18,551, what did I tell you? The revenue is approximately 10%, roughly speaking. So for some
Okay.
great
Okay.
great companies that have a low marginal cost of production like Facebook, Google, etc.
Hmm.
I'm repeating, low marginal cost of production means
Hmm.
to produce goods and services for the next user, they are not spending anything more
Anything.
than they almost already have been. So low
Right.
to zero marginal cost of production basically
Right.
for companies like that, like Facebook, Google, etc. They have relatively higher margins on their revenue or relatively higher percentage of their net worth as their revenue. Maybe.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay.
Depends also if price to earnings ratio are like high and if the company is overvalued, but I'm just saying in general, basically.
Hmm.
Remember, we also have to correlate this back with the concept that money doesn't make much sense. What is real is the physical energy flux, basically.
Right. Right.
We have to correlate it back with the earlier discussions as well, basically.
Yeah.
The physical energy flux is real. Money is
Hmm.
just kind of a representation of how much which individual or entities or groups of individuals are tapping into the physical energy flux.
Hmm. Correct. Correct.
That is the
Yeah.
meaning of the value of an asset, or that is the meaning of kind of money, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's look at see the basic analysis. Like I am starting from the basics, right? Essentially.
Hmm.
So according to the market, this company, if it is completely sold, like for example, if my company was completely sold, the hypothetical company that we set up with two of my properties, basically, how much will
Right.
I gain out of it? I will get 1.2 CR plus 1.8 CR. So 3 CR.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Net worth of that company is 3 CR, basically.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So similarly, they are saying that the net worth of Gillette is 18,000 something CR, basically. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Now, psychologically, what happens for a beginner or novice investor, I am explaining. Okay. Somebody may be earning 30,000 rupees per month, somebody 50, somebody
Hmm.
1 lakh per month, etc., etc., etc. Right.
Hmm.
So, somebody 10,000, etc. So,
Hmm.
psychologically, they get very boggled down. Oh, how can I invest in such a company
Right.
that is of such great net worth, basically,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
18,500 CR, basically,
Yeah.
551. I'm just rounding off, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how can I invest in such a great big company that is earning so very well, basically?
Right.
So that is what people may think, you
Hmm.
can say.
Hmm.
But that is again psychological tricks that the mind is playing with you. It's not
Right.
relevant, right?
Right. Correct.
It's not relevant. Like you can be at any level in life. What matters in any individual's or company's life is that graph that I showed you, which now will be revisited and revised. This is the graph of, if you remember, this is the slope of our revenue growth.
Yes. Yes. Right.
Right? Then this is our runway,
Yeah.
basically.
Correct. And this.
This is our
Yeah.
runway and this is our cost.
Yeah.
So all that matters is your revenue growth slope, right? I'll draw revenue growth in green. Okay. Your
Huh.
revenue growth slope
Hmm.
is much higher than your cost growth slope.
Yes. Yes.
This is what matters, basically.
Yes. Correct. Correct.
And this is the kind of net worth versus time graph, basically, that I keep talking about. right?
Hmm.
So your revenue growth slope is much higher than your cost growth slope, basically,
Yeah.
right? If that is the case, then with time you will grow rich.
Right. Correct.
See, time is still needed, because even if you keep this
Ah.
slope as very high and you put time as very low, then also you
Hmm.
want to grow rich, basically, right?
Right. Right.
So
Correct.
growing rich requires time. So it's a long-term game, basically.
Hmm.
And the gap between the two is kind of the runway, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. For example, let us say you're earning 100 rupees per day, let us say, and your cost is 20 rupees per day. Then the gap between the two is kind of getting added to your runway.
Yeah. Correct.
So
80 rupees getting added.
on day one you have a 4 day runway, because on day one you earned 100 rupees, you spent 20 rupees for living. So
Yeah.
80 means 4 days was your runway. Now
Yes.
you live for
Yes.
another day. You live for another day,
Yeah.
you earn another 100 rupees, you spend 20 rupees, and then that 80 is your runway that gets added. Now you have a runway of 8 days.
Hmm.
So every day where the revenue slope is greater than the cost slope,
Hmm.
the margin is getting added to the runway, and hence
Correct.
there is stability in your life,
Correct. Yeah.
increasing stability in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember that effort and then long-term stability thing, the J, the JS curve kind of a thing of everything,
Ah.
basically.
Ah.
So effort leads to, like, basically this is the effort that we are making, but that
This is.
effort leads to the revenue slope being higher than the cost slope, and hence
Hmm.
the difference kind of getting added to the runway, long-term runway,
Right.
basically.
Right.
That kind of a thing happens, basically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
All right. So let's come back to our, yeah, exactly, Gillette India Limited. Okay.
Hmm.
So 18551. It doesn't matter that this is 18551.
Hmm.
What matters is you have a runway as an individual investor.
Right.
Even as a hedge fund, let's say you are a hedge fund, means you are collecting fund from people and investing on their behalf, basically. Okay. So
Hmm.
for any type of investor, only this thing matters, right? What
Yeah.
is your slope? Slope
Yeah.
of revenue increase? What is your slope of cost increase?
Cost
And
increase.
what is your runway, basically? This
Yeah.
number, the market cap, which is 18551 CR of Gillette, does not matter only.
Hmm.
It can be anything, and you can do fractional investing as well. So if you don't
Correct.
have 5692 to directly put into one share of Gillette, then you can potentially buy fractional shares also. Basically, there are apps now that will allow you to do fractional investing, basically,
Right. Right.
right? That kind of a thing. Correct.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
fine. Then next comes stock P/E. What is this? Price to earnings ratio, basically.
Right. Right.
So wait. Let's try to calculate the price to earnings ratio for our company, the original company, the
Okay.
simple real estate
Okay.
company that we set up. So
Okay. Okay.
what was the earning? What was the yearly earning, basically?
Where's the?
14.4. Yeah, it was 14.4 lakhs. This one. Yeah.
Oh, no, no, no.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry. I think I unfollowed you by mistake. One second.
Yeah. No issues.
Followed by.
Yeah. Now follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you followed.
Now I'm
Yeah.
following it. Right. Right.
So it was 14.4 lakhs per annum, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
14.4 LPA. This was what? This was the earning.
This is a revenue, right? And then.
Yeah, so earning. This is the
uh,
earning,
Okay. Okay.
right? So what is the price? 3 CR.
Right.
Yeah. So price per earning. So
So
300
d-
is the
doesn't
price.
earning
Earning
doesn't
is
earning
14.
here mean the what do you say,
Yearly.
profit,
Yearly
right?
earning. No, earning, revenue, basically.
Oh, it means okay, okay, okay. Ah,
Price per earning.
Acha, okay, okay.
Okay. You can Google what price per earning
Oh
means,
no, I
basically.
totally kind of like thought the wrong thing only
Yeah,
here.
yeah. So
Uh,
please Google what does price per earning mean?
Price
PE.
to earning
Price to
ratio,
earning. Yeah, that's it. Ratio.
right? Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Correct.
Ratio of share price of a stock to its earning per share.
Yeah, so earnings per share, just do earnings per share. What is
Okay,
EPS?
okay, okay.
So this is how you enter the arena, basically. Like
Ah,
I'm teaching Googling also, no, here, basically, and we are
right,
doing it.
right.
So mimetically people can learn,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, correct, correct,
Hmm.
correct.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's a EPS is the company's net profit divided by the number of common shares it has outstanding.
Net profit. Okay. So basically, I was wrong. Earnings per share is like according to net profit, not revenue.
So and that too per
Earnings.
share.
Yes.
So I guess
Uh,
that also matters then. Okay. Stock
Earnings.
price has
No,
to
no,
come in.
per share doesn't. We can do total also, na, basically.
Oh yeah,
Correct?
right, right. Right,
Like
right.
per share upon per share, total upon total, basically.
Right.
Ultimately. So earnings per share is taking net profit into account and not the revenue, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So let's assume that our net profit was approximately, you can say 12, because there is not much cost associated with our business.
Right.
So
Correct.
12 LPA, let's assume.
Hmm.
And hence our earnings per share will be what? 300 divided by 12, correct? Think.
Right.
Like, sorry, this would be
Sorry.
price to earnings ratio. This would be PE ratio, not earnings per share.
Huh.
Because shares, like we don't know the number of shares, we don't
You don't
care
know.
also
Correct.
about
Correct.
the number.
Correct. Correct.
So this
Yeah.
will be P by E ratio basically, right?
Yes.
300,
Yes.
300 by
300
12.
lakhs by 12 lakhs. Correct.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, 300
Hmm.
by 12. Correct.
Correct.
300
Correct.
lakhs by 12 lakhs. So what is the PE ratio? 25.
Yes. Yes.
Correct.
Right.
So
Right. Correct.
correct. So now
Hmm.
this we have to compare with the industry PE ratio. Okay.
Hmm.
So so for
Right.
Gillette the PE ratio is 50.
Okay. Okay.
Gillette the ratio is 50 means the price is higher compared to, see, this
Hmm.
rental thing we can understand, no? Basically it's understandable, right?
Yeah. 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 It is understandable.
I
So this
always,
is.
yeah, I always think like this, like in my mind, even if before I knew about PE ratios, basically
Hmm.
before I formally studied PE ratios also, I used to always think like this. I used to
Okay.
take earnings per month instead of earnings per year, basically. Okay.
Right.
So,
Right.
so another third property of mine, the cost
Hmm.
is 1.2 CR, returns 60K per
Okay.
month.
Okay.
I used to do that in my mind. That okay,
Right.
1.2 CR divided by 60K, like that.
Right. Right.
So 1.2 CR. So
Yeah.
120 lakhs, right?
Correct. Yeah. 120 lakhs divided by.
Divided by
Uh,
60,000.
See, you did a per month thing, correct?
So this was my metric before I
Yeah.
even knew about price to earn, basically,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah.
So this 200 number is fit in my brain, basically. So
Right.
something with 200, this 1.2 CR divided by 60K, right? So
Huh.
1.2 CR property gives 60K per month, basically. This is fit in
That's
my
right.
number. This
Okay.
is
Okay.
kind of fit in my brain. So I
Right.
know now this is how we develop financial intuition or numbers or numerical
Hmm.
intuition, basically,
Right. Right.
right? So
Right.
even we can have metrics that are not even there on screener or something like that. We can think about it like this, basically.
Hmm.
So in our current example, on a monthly basis, how much are we earning? 1.2 lakhs we are earning.
Correct.
But the property cost is more, right? For 1.2 lakh, we should have a property of 2.4 CR, but we have a proper property portfolio here of 3 CR, basically.
Right. Right.
So 3 CR giving 1.2 M, let us say, per month is bad,
Is bad. Right.
according to my
Got it.
original other property, basically. The other
Right.
property that gives me 60K for 1.2
Or
CR worth property,
right.
basically.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. Correct.
So I look at this 200 number, basically.
Right.
And then in my case, the lower the better it is, right? Think. The
Yeah.
lower the
Yeah.
number, the better. The lower the number, the better it is, basically.
Yes. Yes. Right.
Right?
Right.
Because we want, see, this 200 number has come as 1.2 CR divided by 60K, right?
Correct, correct. Yeah, exactly. So the income is on
Kind of like
the
price per
earnings are
earning.
in
So
the
lower the
denominator.
number,
So
the
yeah,
yeah, lower the number, the better it is, basically.
correct,
So
correct. Because
if the number is coming as 150 or 100, then it's like a fantastic investment, basically. Something like that.
right,
If it,
right, correct,
if it is
correct.
coming more, then it is like a more dicey investment.
Right, yeah,
Can say.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
So if we do the same calculation on a per annum basis, as is the standard in normal investment
Hmm.
terminology, what are we going to get?
Hmm.
For a 1.2 CR property on a 7.2 L I am earning, right?
Oh yeah, sorry. One second. Can you repeat that?
120 lakh divided by,
Huh.
for a 1.2 CR property, 60K per month I am earning. So 7.2 lakhs per annum I am earning,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Correct, correct,
12 into 60K, 12 into 60K.
correct, correct. Yeah.
So here my price to earning will be 16.66. Can you see?
Okay.
120. Yeah, it will be like 120 L divided by
By the way,
7.2.
are you drawing? Yeah, you're drawing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
now
showing up.
120 L divided by 7.2 L. So it will
Correct,
be
correct.
16.66
Six,
basically.
six. Right,
So
right.
this will be
So
my
this can
price to
also
earn.
So intuitively, this also, in a sense, is like how much time you are taking to recover that. You can say, right? At some level,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
feels like that to me.
it is exactly that.
Right? Huh?
You are taking 16.66 years to recover the initial
Correct. Correct.
investment.
Investment. Huh? Correct. Correct.
Something like it is exactly that basically.
Hmm. Right.
Not even
Right.
in a way, it is exactly that
Okay. Okay.
basically.
Okay. Right. That's the significance of P. Okay. Got it. Got it.
Yeah, that is the significance of PE. And
Right.
lower the PE, the happier we are as investors,
Yes, because
basically.
we're getting it back faster. Right.
But then PE, how do you know what is lower? Now you have a relative comparison
Ah.
metric. Like you can't compare this company with
Right.
Gillette.
Correct.
Gillette
Correct.
has a
Exactly.
different
Exactly.
metric, basically. This has a
Correct.
different metric. So now
Correct.
you
Correct.
can compare that this company is worse than this company.
Yes. Yes.
This company has
Same
even
industry.
only one single property, only 1.2 CR worth of property. So market cap wise, this company is winning.
Hmm.
This company has a 3 CR market cap,
Hmm. Right. Right. Correct.
which is earning 1.2 CR, 1.2 L per month, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this company has a market cap of only 1.2 CR, but it is earning 60K per month. But according to PE, this
Yes.
company
Yes.
is significantly ahead because lower PE is better for us as investors,
Yes.
basically.
Yes. Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This is yearly P. Like I forget about my number basically because we don't want to confuse people. See,
Huh.
every individual investor will have their own heuristics, right? Like
Yes.
their
Yes.
own ways of judging companies and things like that, basically. So I
Yeah.
used
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
use that number, monthly earnings. Monthly earnings is typically not used, and it is kind of in sync with the normal PE. So we'll go ahead with the PE. So this
Hmm.
company has a PE of 25. This company has a PE of 16.66. Gillette
Right.
has a PE of 50. So it's kind of little bit on the expensive side, right?
Right. Right. Correct. Correct.
But we cannot really completely ascertain this unless we compare
Yes.
this with the competitor Ps. So just
Correct.
go down basically. We'll
Huh.
get to see competitors, I think, if you
Acha.
scroll down.
Right.
Yeah. So pros and cons are listed, but okay, let's do
Huh.
comparison.
These
Okay.
are
So
peer comparisons. No? Yeah.
firstly sector, FMCG sector basically,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
you can see that in FMCG PE is high only relatively. Okay.
Hmm. Correct.
And
Correct.
here it lists in the Indian jurisdiction, this website lists the various different companies, and there are only five players because FMCG is relatively capex heavy, capital expenditure
Right.
heavy. So there are only five main players. One is Hindustan Unilever,
Hmm.
then Colgate Palmolive, right?
Right.
Then
Right.
Procter and Gamble,
PNG.
right?
Huh.
And then
Right.
P&G, then Gillette, and then
Yeah.
Medium, etc., etc. Like
Right.
that.
Right. Right.
Oh. So okay, the four company, okay, median. This is they are calculating the median. Okay, so you can say that all the things that they are giving basically over here.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, sales,
Yeah.
quarterly variance, ROCE. So that is return on capital employed basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct.
ROCE. So any term
Yeah.
that we don't know basically, ROCE. Okay, what is the meaning of ROCE?
We'll Google.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, return on like if you don't know about any term basically that you can directly Google. See,
Yeah. I
we
think.
can't
Huh.
really remember everything also. Basically. There are too many terms and things like that. This is like a subject. As we go more and more into it, that becomes more and more easy.
Right. Right.
So EBIT, they are saying EBIT upon capital employed. So EBIT and EBITDA, how is it different? Earnings before income tax.
It
They are
can be
not
divided
taking
net operating.
depreciation amortization.
EBIT by capital employed. Okay. Okay. I think here there are
Yeah,
some images here also.
yeah,
That capital employed is essentially. There are multiple ways to calculate the denominator also, I guess. Then
correct, correct,
that
correct,
capital
correct.
employed, it can
But
be correct,
both will come to be the same. Total assets minus total
correct,
liability. Basically.
correct, correct. Yeah.
That is kind of the book value or capital employed, basically, you can say,
Hmm.
of a
Right,
company. Fine?
right, right. Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
Right. So now let us do one thing. Let
Hmm.
us go, let us go to YouTube, basically.
Okay. So five different types of ratios, which essentially shed parts like different windows to the company. You can say, and like the profitability window,
Yeah,
like a
the
liquidity,
different
like
ways of thinking about the company. Yes, correct.
exactly, exactly. Yeah. So profitability, five these things are profitability, liquidity,
Hmm.
efficiency,
Hmm.
leverage, and
Hmm.
price.
Hmm.
Okay, 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 okay.
Hmm.
So, take a profitability, I think, and liquidity are very easy to understand. How profitable are you? Then how much cash
Yeah.
do you have in hand to run operation?
Liquidity is related to the runway that you have, basically.
Run with it, yeah.
Liquidity is
Correct,
supposed to
correct,
be the
correct.
runway.
Yeah.
In our terminology, basically.
Yes,
Like that.
yes, correct, 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 correct. Correct. Oh, so efficiency would probably have to do with like whatever resources you have, how efficiently is it becoming revenue or something like that, right? Because there's turnover ratio, receivables ratio, and all that. So that's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah, correct. Exactly.
Something like that. Okay, okay. And leverage ratios, interest, debt to assets. Okay, okay, okay. So how leveraged are you on your debt to equity? Leverage, I think I'll kind of
Perfect,
probably I'll need to
perfect,
give.
perfect. How leveraged are you on your book value, basically? Perfect it is. Like
Okay,
for
no, I said it, but even I can't fully visualize it. So maybe we'll come back to that.
yeah.
Price ratios is
Okay.
what we were doing. It has to do with the stock price and how much sense does it make as an investor, and
Correct,
uh,
correct, correct, correct.
yeah, wherever
Good.
share comes in, hard leverage. So shall I just jump directly to leverage ratios then, just to see what he's saying, or maybe you
Yeah,
can talk about it
yeah,
also.
yeah, you can. It's at 1452. You can
Yeah,
directly
yeah,
jump to
yeah.
leverage, basically. He has given it in a visual manner also. So people can actually go to this particular video
Right,
and
right. Taking on debt in order to maximize. Hmm. Okay, got it, got it. Because to get debt and to get liabilities, it is important to have assets in the first place. So how much of those
Hmm.
assets have already been leveraged? Something like that. That's what these ratios claim. Huh?
Yeah, something like that. And there are multiple leverage ratios. Like one is one type of leverage ratio is debt to assets, basically.
Right, right,
Right. And one
right.
is debt equity, basically. Okay. So
Okay,
shareholders
okay,
equity
okay.
is assets minus liabilities. Now, like I'll give you an example. In our earlier
Right.
company, let us say
Hmm.
it was a 3 CR worth company, total market cap. Okay.
Okay, okay.
So,
Huh.
but let us say if I had 1 CR debt that I owed to the banks in terms of EMIs, basically, like
Right,
EMIs
right.
are not yet paid completely. Then shareholders equity, so that our net worth is only 2 CR, right?
Correct, correct.
Assets minus liabilities is our net worth. Assets is 3 CR, liabilities is 1 CR.
So then, one second. I think somebody's at the door. Sunday is going. This problem is. I'll just open the door and
Okay.
come back.
Okay.
One second.
उसमें इंस्टॉल करना चालू कर दे वो लैपटॉप में तब तक हाँ उस पे लेके काम करना चालू कर सकते हैं तू तेरा ट्यूटोरियल देख सकता है ना किसी चीजों का उधर चाहिए तो है ना अपना टाइम एफिशिएंटली यूज हो जाएगा ना फिर आकाश तू तुझं एडिटिंग कर
हो मी एडिटिंग पण करतोय तिथे कॅमेऱ्यामध्ये
पण तू कुठलं एडिटिंग करतोय
इंटर्नचं.
इंटर्न त्याला 1-2 व्हिडिओ दे इंटर्नचे शिकवते ना
ठीक आहे.
अडोबे प्रीमियर प्रो
हो
करायला
ठीक.
शिकवते
अरे प्रीमियर प्रो वरती शिकू का?
नाही नाही डाविन्सीवर शिकव
हा
सॉरी
ठीक आहे.
ओके शामरू लेट्स
हाँ,
कंटिन्यू
Zenita. So your company, 3
The video editor
crores.
should edit out this break time should be edited out by the video editor. That
Yeah,
goes
yeah,
without saying.
correct.
Okay. Hmm. So now in our example, we were talking about assets minus liabilities, right? So
Yeah,
assets minus liabilities is our equity, shareholders equity. Now
right.
what people do is like they issue, for example, 2 CR is there. Now if I issue 200 shares, then how much would be one share worth? 1 lakh, right? Like let's say
हाँ, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
total assets is 3 CR, total
Hmm.
liabilities is 1 CR. So what
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
equity? 2 CR is
2
equity.
CR,
Now
2
if
CR, correct.
now, now if I issue 200 shares, each share would be worth 1.
1 lakh.
If I issue 400 shares, Each share would be worth
50,000.
50,000. If I
50,000.
issue 800 shares, each share would be worth 25,000.
25,
So
25K. Yeah.
this price of the share only does not matter.
Correct.
Like just look at the total, na, basically. Like
Yeah.
forget about number of everything. Just look at the market cap. Let's just look
Correct.
at the shareholders' equity, which is
Yeah.
assets minus liabilities, basically.
Yeah.
And based upon assets minus liabilities, how much debt you have. That
Hmm.
makes sense to me. Because only
Hmm.
on assets, if you have certain amount of debt, that is like irrelevant, right? So for example, in this
Hmm.
example, the assets would be of 3 CR and my debt would be of 1 CR. So debt on assets, if you look at debt to assets, basically, right?
Right.
The ratio
Right.
would be one third, so 33.33%.
Right. Right.
If you look at debt to assets ratio, okay,
Hmm.
it would be 1 CR debt on 3 CR assets.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But that is kind of irrelevant now. Think about it.
Hmm.
Okay, that is the ratio that should be known, but that is kind of irrelevant. Debt to equity makes more sense, right? Think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if my
I
assets
think.
are 10 CR, but my equity is only 1 CR, and debt is also 1 CR, so debt to equity is 1, basically.
Hmm. Hmm.
But if my equity is 2 CR and debt is 1 CR, debt to equity is half, basically.
Right.
So debt to equity makes much more sense than debt to assets, basically.
Hmm.
Debt to assets
Yeah.
can confuse.
Right. Right. I guess maybe in certain cases only it might be handy. Like if a lot of debt is required or something. I don't know. Like in
But
manufacturing
people
companies
will
or
not
something.
give you debt unless you are kind of in a net positive equity situation. So if the
Yeah.
company is
Yeah.
already sinking, basically, you have got more liabilities than assets.
Hmm.
So I remember some years ago, in 2006, I think 18 or something like that, one
Right.
person who was a friend of mine, he
Right.
came and he told me that, okay, I am in losses. Now I am going to start a new plan wherein which I will like buy some 3 or 4 cars, basically, invest
Acha.
some 2 CR with me, Zenith, like that. This was
Acha.
2019, something like that. In 20, COVID came. So if I had
Right.
invested in him, basically, that business would have tanked completely.
Right. Right. Correct.
So he did not have any assets, he had liabilities. So
Hmm.
as a businessman, how can I invest in him unless I want
Hmm.
losses on my balance sheet, basically?
Correct. Correct. Correct.
So debt to assets, to me, it makes less sense, basically.
Hmm.
To me,
Right.
debt to equity makes more sense. Like, for
Right.
example, let's say you own a house, okay? That
Hmm.
house is worth 50 lakhs, okay?
Yeah.
But you took leveraged mortgage loan on it worth 75 lakhs, basically. Sometimes some banks, when they are hungry to do
Acha.
predatory lending, like let's say, for example, some credit lending societies and non-accredited banks, basically,
Right.
they do
Right.
that kind of thing, higher interest rate loans, basically, that kind of a thing.
Acha. Okay. Okay.
So you borrowed 75 lakh against something that is like that can be sold at only 50 lakh, basically.
Right. Right.
Now, what is your equity? Your equity is negative. So, if you say debt to assets ratio, basically, right? Then your
Hmm.
debt will be 75 lakhs and your equity will like assets will be 50 lakhs. So, debt to
Yes.
assets ratio will be 1.5, basically.
Yeah. More than one. Correct. Right.
Yeah. But debt to equity ratio will be like your equity is minus
Minus.
25
Yeah.
lakhs,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So debt to equity ratio is making more sense to me. Okay, you can look at both of them together to get a clear picture of what's happening, basically. But you cannot
Hmm.
ignore liabilities, is what I'm trying to say.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
And if a lender lends money, basically, for
Hmm.
something on some company's balance sheet that
Balance sheet.
has more liabilities than assets, then that lender is kind of foolish, basically. Kind of.
Correct. Correct.
Unless there is some extremely unique mitigating circumstance that should not generally be done as a matter of
Yeah.
policy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Um.
So I think debt to asset and then interest coverage ratio. So you can just Google what is interest coverage ratio or even
Hmm.
listen to this guy, basically, and try to understand
Acha.
the situation.
Oh, interest coverage ratio. Let me just check.
It would be to do with how many months interest can you pay with the current liquidity that you have, means current runway that you have.
Okay. Okay. Right.
How easily
Hmm.
a company can pay interest on its outstanding debt.
Right. Right. Makes sense. Makes
The
sense.
interest
Yeah.
coverage is
Operating profit.
calculated by
Correct.
dividing company's earnings before interest and taxes, EBIT,
A bit.
by its interest expense during a given period, basically.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense. Right.
Earnings divided by interest expense. So how many multiples are you earning compared to your interest expense, basically?
Yes.
So
Yes.
in our hypothetical example, I will tell you for 1 CR,
Hmm.
for 1 CR out of 3 CR. So in my hypothetical example, I have a 1 CR debt on a 3 CR market cap, right? Company.
Yeah,
I have a
correct.
1 year debt, and let's say I'm paying 80K in EMIs on that 1 year.
Okay, okay.
So on a monthly basis, how much am I earning? 1.2 lakhs, if you remember that example.
Right.
And how much am I paying on a monthly basis?
80K,
80K.
80K, 80K.
80K.
So,
So what is my interest coverage ratio over here?
so 3 by 2, 1.5.
Perfect. Perfect. So
Hmm.
interest coverage ratio, we want more than one, preferably as high as possible, basically.
Right, right, correct, correct.
So now are you getting a sense of things basically, like liquidity
Hmm.
ratios and like
Right,
and interest coverage ratios and
correct,
these kind of things basically.
correct, correct. Yeah, yeah.
These are leverage ratios, okay?
Hmm.
So another thing is debt servicing coverage ratio. Debt servicing coverage ratio. So
Okay.
anything you don't understand, you can just Google basically, right?
Correct. So how do you want to do this? But for this episode, like, do you want to go through each of them one by one, or do you want to discuss the broad things, the
Or
categories?
no, actually, I want you to become little familiar with each of
Okay.
them. We can wait also basically,
Right, got it, got
and
it.
then we will do the analysis of Gillette.
Okay, got it, got it, got it.
That's kind of what I am aiming towards.
ठीक है
Basically.
ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है so then let me start from the beginning. Then I'll start with profitability ratios, the different
Yeah,
ones.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, let's go. Yeah. So I think the terms I'll have to kind of quickly. I mean, I can always keep googling what is gross profit now, but I keep forgetting which is what, because there are multiple levels of profit, right? So what is gross profit?
yeah, yeah.
Maybe what will help is that if I also note down somewhere.
Yeah.
Mm,
So this is what if you look at the thing basically,
right.
this thing,
This one, huh?
yeah. My
Right.
explanation. Yeah. So here I have kind of explained it. If you follow me, you are
Let me
not
just
on the
check. I
board, I
think
think.
I think
You're
they
just
took me out, but they're bringing me
right.
back. Yes, yes, yeah.
Correct. Request host permission. I will
I think I have to make you host again.
make me host.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, done.
Correct. Good. So if you look at that's why I kind of told you
You did
there is
this. Correct.
revenue minus GST.
Correct.
Okay, is like pure revenue basically.
Right.
This I'm
Right.
calling it pure revenue. This
Uh,
is my term, pure revenue, not a normal
correct.
thing.
Correct. What is the general term used for this? Is it what post tax
But,
something? I don't know.
no, sometimes
Nothing.
people start from here.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So no, there is no term for this. Every step doesn't have a term, na?
Makes sense. Because anyway,
So
GST is a very India specific thing, na?
yeah,
So
very
new
interesting.
thing
So the
also.
revenue minus GST only people call it as basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it.
There is something beyond also called as gross value basically GMP you can say. So
Okay.
you can say this is relevant for companies like Swiggy, Zomato, etc. So let's say Swiggy gets in a gross value, okay,
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
of 1,000 rupees, out of which 900 goes to the restaurant, right?
Correct.
So
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
with Swiggy and the driver remains only 100. So
Correct. Correct.
the gross can be very very high for Swiggy.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. But that I've always thought that it's kind of irrelevant for Swiggy as a company, right? Like for the platform. Uh,
Yeah, uh, it is kind of irrelevant, but that is something that tells you about the volume. So that is like
volume.
kind of the
Right.
something that tells you about the impact compared to the
Yeah.
TAM. TAM is like the total
Yes.
addressable market basically.
Right. Right. Right.
So it is called as
Correct.
gross merchandise value basically. I
Right.
was calling it as GMP. It is actually GMV, gross
GMV.
merchandise value basically.
Right.
Okay,
Right. Right.
or sometimes also called as gross merchandise volume basically.
Hmm.
Okay. So
Okay.
basically, Swiggy, let us say Swiggy delivers in one city
Hmm.
100 orders basically, and each order
Hmm.
is of 1,000 rupees.
Right.
So
Stop.
in one day, okay,
Yeah.
in one day.
Yeah.
So the GMV for Swiggy would be 1
One
lakh
lakh.
rupees.
Right.
Yeah, that is the GMV.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is nothing related to revenue also. It is like beyond,
Correct.
like
Correct.
it is one step higher than revenue also, you can say.
Correct. 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 Yeah. Yeah.
So GMV.
Then the one certain percentage of that will be
With
their
like
actual
let's say
revenue.
10% of that will be like in one day in one city, like 10. This
Right.
is just an example. We don't know
Correct.
Swiggy's balance sheet, right? Income statement right
Correct.
now.
Correct.
So then certain percentage of that will be Swiggy's revenue. Then minus GST. I am calling this as pure revenue.
Got it.
Then
Right.
after that, cost of goods sold.
Yeah.
and after that you get gross profit, then you get
Yeah.
marketing expenses, general and administrative basically. Here I think depreciation is also claimed basically sometimes.
But it does say before EBITDA में, it does say
Yeah,
before.
yeah, correct. After EBITDA only, yeah, you
Oh,
are
but I
correct.
think, but EBIT maybe after depreciation, then EBIT comes or maybe
Then
something like that.
yeah, so basically EBIT comes and then EBIT,
Uh,
and after EBIT then EBITDA basically, and then net you can say.
Right,
So you can
right.
even like make it even finer, and we can even write this as just EBIT basically.
Oh, EBITDA there and then फिर
Okay?
EBIT नहीं,
And then
before.
here
हाँ,
EBITDA. I think
एक
EBIT, yeah, yeah, you are
उल्टा हुआ ना,
right.
हाँ,
EBIT,
बिफोर, हाँ EBITDA फिर EBIT, हाँ फिर, हाँ तो पहले,
EBITDA,
फिर
then
पहले
you,
DA निकालते हैं, फिर देन EBIT एंड देन IT निकालते हैं. हम्म.
yeah, correct.
हाँ
Then
हाँ
पहले DA निकालते हैं,
हाँ, पहले D और A,
then
EBIT,
EBIT,
हाँ
and
फिर
then
इनकम टैक्स.
finally
हाँ
income tax निकालते हैं.
हाँ,
Correct.
so correct, correct. So ये तो
This is the
gross
correct
profit
one.
means, gross profit basically means the revenue minus the cost of goods sold. Got it, got it. So
Yeah,
right, got it, got it, got it.
yeah.
But I think this makes it, I mean, now
This makes
I have to
you can
remember again.
later make an Excel sheet and all basically. This is also
Hmm.
in my mind only right now, no?
हाँ,
Basically.
right, right, yeah.
So we can later have formalized Excel sheets and things like that.
Correct, correct. हाँ. ये
I'll just
mind पे लाना है, yeah, because then, I mean, this is too basic to keep referring to. I feel like this should be imprinted in the mind, I feel,
yeah,
to
this
really
should be
read.
imprinted in the mind, like yeah.
Yeah.
And I have also spoken with Krish. So like
Hmm.
we are going to do fundamental analysis on many companies basically now.
Nice, nice,
Hmm.
nice. हाँ. ठीक है, so we were actually
Correct.
looking at gross profit margins now. So gross profit
Hmm.
upon the revenue. Okay, fine. Like how much? What is the gross profit margin? Like this
Gross
seems
profit
like, yeah,
margin. Gross
something you'd
profit
want.
upon now it will become intuitive once we have this
Hmm.
entire thing,
Yes,
basically.
yes, yes, right, right. Because I mean,
Hmm.
if your cost of goods sold is too high, then this ratio could suffer. Basically, that's the only thing that affects.
Correct, correct, correct.
And
Exactly.
this would probably be extremely high for tech companies, because
The gross profit margin is very high because cost of goods sold is very low for tech company.
yes, yes, exactly,
So
exactly.
for metals now, gross profit margin is very low. Metals and gold, silver, etc.
Acha, acha, okay, okay.
Because cost of goods is also there now. It does cost
हाँ,
them also basically. COGS is also there basically for
हाँ,
them.
हाँ, right,
Good
right.
chunk of COGS is there like that.
What's that? What's that?
Good chunk of COGS is there like metals,
हाँ.
precious metals, etc. Real physical atoms and atoms, right?
Hmm.
Atom based things have more cost, so less gross
Right.
profit margin.
Yes, yes, right, right. हाँ.
So here I wanted to say operational expenses like transportation, etc. Marketing,
Hmm.
general administrative, operational. General
Okay,
administrative typically refers to salaries, basically. Typically,
okay, okay.
salaries of
Right,
employees.
right. Got it, got it, got it. Okay, right, right.
Hmm.
Hmm. So, I guess, we could also see it as COGS also generally means that there's a linear nature of, the more you sell, the more the COGS will increase. You can say
Yes,
that, right?
yes. That's why all high COGS based physical items are usually capital expenditure heavy and hence
Hmm.
kind of belong to the early movers, basically. Now we are also going to correlate it back with like
Achha.
a competitive advantages and moats, basically. For
Right,
example,
right.
Reliance Petrochemicals. For example, like Mittal Steels, basically. Like the
Hmm.
people who are early movers, Tata, basically Tata Manufacturing and Energy. So early movers set into the ecosystem in such a manner that their capex now is higher. They have now established companies, bought land when it was cheap much ago, basically.
Right, right, right.
That
Hmm.
kind of a thing.
Okay, okay. Right, right. ठीक है, तो ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट मार्जिन तो हाँ समझ गया. नेक्स्ट, ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट मार्जिन. Operating profit here mentioned is EBIT, huh? Is it? What is
Operating profit is like EBITDA, basically.
EBITDA? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You can even Google like this, a difference between operating profit and EBITDA. Or is operating
Yeah.
profit the same as EBITDA? This is
Okay,
how we
okay.
use Google, basically.
But it does say before deduction of interest and taxes. So I think at least EBIT,
Before
minus operating.
deduction of interest and taxes, basically, right? Yeah, so
हाँ.
there are some parallel concepts also, basically. So,
Hmm.
interest and taxes nahi karna hai deduct, right? So, EBIT, it's like EBIT, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Difference in
Something like
operating.
EBIT. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So EBIT seems like EBIT only. Operating income seems like EBIT.
Yeah, yeah. Operating income, profit and EBIT are the same thing. I got the
Yeah.
answer also. They are
Yeah.
the same
Okay.
thing.
Okay. Right.
So
Right.
operating profit is nothing but EBIT. So even I can write it down over here that
Ha.
EBIT is
Ha.
kind of similar to operating profit.
Operating. Ha. Perfect. Perfect. Ha. So gross profit here, operating profit here makes sense.
Gross profit, then EBITDA, then EBIT, which is operating
Yeah.
profit, and
Yes.
then net,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
net profit. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yeah. So this is
So
the
the,
income statement. This should be imprinted in the mind basically. So
yeah.
every time
Yeah.
you go to a restaurant, the income statement should just start basically. Okay, what would be cost? What would be
Mm,
this, that, what would be
mm,
operational, etc., etc., etc.
right. Correct.
What
Correct.
would be marketing, so on and so forth. Yeah.
Correct. Correct. So, operating profit as a this thing of the revenue makes sense. Again, there's a profit, like very fundamental to profitability. I mean, it's giving a nice
Exactly.
visualization of how profitable this company is, can
Yes.
be.
Yes. Yes.
Net profit margin would be okay, like obvious
The
from the
final one.
name,
The
like
final.
from
Yeah.
net
It's
profit
in the name
upon.
basically. Correct. Correct.
Correct. So I just, yeah. So
Correct.
that's okay. We can, I think that can be
Yeah.
kind of
We
easy
can
to understand
proceed.
net profit about. Right. So
I think
upon.
profit ratios you are clear about basically. Profit
Yeah,
ratio.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Correct. Anything else? Return on assets and return on equity. So return
Yeah.
would be, I'm assuming net profit or
Check what they have
oh,
used for return. I believe return would be net profit. That only
net
makes sense.
profit only.
Yeah.
And on
Return.
return on equity would be entire equity, and then capital employed will be minus the current liabilities or something, I
No, no.
guess.
Assets are more than equity. So return on assets is like the assets is greater than equity. Assets minus liabilities is equity.
Right, right. Correct, correct, correct.
So
Acha,
I think you meant to say entire assets, like when you express something like that. So
no, no,
return on return on assets is going to be less than return on equity because assets is a higher number generally.
okay. Yeah. So return on assets is going to be a smaller number because assets are
Lesser,
higher.
smaller number because assets are higher basically than
Correct, correct,
equity.
correct,
Equity is
correct.
lower generally.
Ha, ha.
So in our hypothetical example, let's calculate return on assets basically. So my
Yeah, oh yeah.
my profit, let's say 80,000 I was spending as EMI and 120K I was earning basically. So my net profit is 40K.
Right,
Let's assume no operational expenses, no marketing expenses to keep it simple. So
right.
40K is my net profit basically.
Correct,
Okay.
correct,
So
correct.
what is my return on assets? 40 divided by 300. 40K
Hmm.
divided by 300K.
300. Actually, and if you want annual, we can multiply 40K
Yeah.
by 12.
Yeah, not
And then,
300. Sorry, like I think this is wrong. Annual is 40. So 40 into 12 divided by 3 CR actually. 40K is
correct, correct.
monthly. So 40 into 12 divided by 3 CR, right?
Yeah, yeah, correct, correct.
40 into 12 whole divided
So
by
then
3 CR.
4.8 lakhs, 4.8 lakhs divided by 3 CR or 4.8 divided by 300.
Yeah. So
Uh,
this would be my what? This would be
your
my
return
return
on
on assets.
assets. Return on assets, correct,
And
correct.
what would be return on equity?
Return on equity would be,
The numerator will be the same. The denominator will be 2 CR basically because my liabilities are 1 CR in that example.
correct, correct, correct.
Correct. So
Yeah,
this
yeah.
example clarifies everything if you see.
Hmm,
This,
hmm,
if,
hmm,
this,
hmm.
if we just study this example properly and try to,
Yeah.
formalize and understand the ratios with respect to this example, and anybody can create a like in my case, this is a real example with real
Hmm.
number, but
Right.
anybody can even create a hypothetical example or somebody in their neighborhood or their
Yeah.
uncle or aunt or cousin, somebody will have an investment property that they have invested and they are getting rental yields against, right? So
Right,
they can
right. Yeah,
calculate
yeah.
all these ratios for that particular endeavor, basically.
Right, right. Yeah, makes sense, makes sense.
Yeah.
Hmm. ठीक है. Sounds good. So this ROE is return on equity, right?
Mm.
Hmm. This was something that I need to imprint. Equity, like I don't know for
Equity
some
is
reason
assets minus liabilities. Yeah.
yeah.
You are
I'm
thinking
just
equity is bigger. Assets are bigger, basically. Assets are
correct,
the
correct.
main thing. Assets minus liabilities is equity. What you are left with is equity, basically.
Yeah. And equity is, I mean, I'm trying to equate it to. I keep thinking of it as shareholders equity because whenever I've seen
It is
in these
shareholders
theoretical,
equity only.
it is the
Equity
same
is
thing. But
shareholders.
like when I see equity, I need to kind of start uh,
Hmm.
understanding
Assets
that.
minus liabilities should come in your mind. That should flash.
Yeah. That should come quickly. Correct,
Yeah.
correct, exactly. Return on capital employed. Minus
That
current
only equity.
liabilities. Okay,
Hmm.
okay.
It's like
Yeah.
return on equity only.
Yeah. But except I think capital employed is like equity plus long-term liabilities. That's what I'm understanding, right? That's the only difference, right? So
Yeah. So
liabilities
yeah,
को split करके current liabilities and long-term liabilities को. So long-term liabilities को equity के साथ चिपका के that's capital employed.
correct.
Right. That's
Correct.
how. That's how.
Correct. You can say like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
But again, it is not a ratio that makes sense to me, basically. I
Acha, okay.
understand that the liabilities are long term, basically, but they are liabilities only, na, ultimately.
Hmm.
So return on equity is only better rather than return on capital employed, basically. Return
Okay,
on
because you're saying
equity.
ultimately they still are liabilities, so
Correct. Even if they are long term. Okay, there will be some cases, obviously, in which that ratio should be studied and so on and so forth, but not many, basically. Like
okay.
mostly 90% of the times you should study on return on equity only. Maybe
Hmm.
5% or maybe 9% of the times return on assets and maybe 1% of the times return on capital employed, basically. Something like that.
Right.
But it's okay. Like I know that some investors, like even Warren Buffett studies ROCE, etc. Or
Acha.
example, I'm just giving an example basically. But
Right.
see, now this is where it becomes an art basically from a science, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
it depends upon investor to investor what they are looking at in their
Hmm.
as analysis before investing basically, because there
Got
are
it.
so
Got
many
it.
things, and then this is where the like the intersectionality of science and art comes in over here basically.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
ठीक है, ठीक. And in these ratios also, I mean, there will be that comparison with peers, right? Like for example, in
Yeah.
FMCG, all
Comparison
of
with
them
peers will always hold basically.
will always hold, right? Yeah.
Comparison with peers in a sector will always hold, and there is a Pareto there. And guess
Okay.
what? Like
Huh.
basically, a company that is like kind of a blue chip company that is doing well on the stock market, it is not
Right.
necessary that it is a good investment. See,
Right.
what is a good investment is this kind of a company. Basically,
Hmm.
this kind of a company is a good investment. The earlier you come, the higher your returns are going to be. Okay.
Okay. Right.
Like
Huh.
like this kind of a company is a bad investment, basically, where
Yes.
it just
Yes.
keeps losing money. Most companies keep losing money and hence shut down also, basically.
Right. Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So in this kind of a company, if you come in early, then you are going to gain
A lot.
more
Yeah. Earlier you
value.
come. Correct.
The earlier you come, the better it is going to be in general. The best
Right.
time is even to come at this location or this location, something like that. So something
Right.
that is a blue chip stock, you can come in over here and stay over here forever, basically.
Yes. Right.
Because it
Correct.
is kind of plateauing, unless like the company kind of takes again a J curve and
Huh.
improves like that. Because this is the improvement graph in life and increase of net
Yes.
worth also, basically.
Yes. Makes
It's
sense.
the
Makes
J
sense.
curve basically. So we don't know
Right.
in what cycle is the company. We don't know exactly, basically. See, if
Hmm.
Microsoft had not innovated and had just stayed with only Windows, basically, and they had
Yes.
not gone to Teams and cloud and things like that, they
Hmm.
wouldn't have been able to climb these other J curves, basically.
Yes. Correct.
Every
Correct.
company is searching the next J curve that they can potentially climb.
Right. Oh yeah, that's a good that's a good
Way
this thing.
to
So I
think.
guess we can say that ultimately it's upon future JS curves. So blue
Yeah,
chip companies do have the advantage of having more resources, but they have the disadvantage that they're not nimble enough. Or if you're a large organization, it's harder to innovate generally.
correct.
But they do have the
For
resources that.
for example, as Infosys, like you literally need to branch out into other verticals basically. Like what will you do with that service industry J
Hmm,
curve basically?
right,
That kind
right,
of a thing.
right. Got it. ठीक है. Hmm.
So if the company is just plateauing,
Hmm.
then that can be a bad investment also, even though it is a good company, hence a good investment for earlier investors basically.
Yeah,
So
right.
essentially, a good company can be a bad investment. A good business can be a bad investment. Please understand.
Correct.
Bad business can be a good investment. I'll explain how. A bad
Bad
business
business.
can be a good investment.
If it is underpriced, even lower. No, or if.
Exactly. If it is super underpriced, basically, even compared to book value, which is assets minus liability. Let's say,
Hmm.
let's say, for example, in my company, somebody says that, oh, the return on equity is very low. Okay. Like
Right.
the hypothetical company that we thought about, right? The return on
Right.
equity is very low. It's just 4.8 lakhs divided by 2 CR, quite low, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Return on equity is quite low. So because of that, if they think that this is a bad company, and
Hmm.
because the market perception happens that this is a bad company and hence the price tanks. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Now if the price of the net company is only 1.2 CR, but the equity is only 2 CR, right?
Hmm.
Then now this becomes a good investment. So a bad business can be a good investment. A good
Mhm.
business can be a bad investment.
Right, right.
Ideally, we are searching for good businesses that are also good investments so
Good
that we
enough.
can be in for the long run, basically.
Yes, yes, right.
So if you are in over here,
Huh.
then you can be in for the long run. Because see, this
Right.
plateau also stays. So this plateau, big companies have the advantage that they already have the manpower and
Hmm.
like the know-how, the brand, etc. So they can kind of stay over here, basically.
Right, right.
So if you are an investor who has entered here, you can just keep hoping that new leadership will take it on a new JS curve, basically.
Yes, yes, right.
Example would be Reliance. They started with one thing, expanded into
Huh.
other thing.
Right,
Another
right.
example would be Tata, the Tata Group. They started with one thing, used the
Hmm.
brand name, expanded into other things, basically.
Right, right.
Microsoft is another example. Amazon is a very typical example, basically.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
why do large corporations and companies search for more of more like they search for doing more, basically. You can just Google right now
Hmm.
companies under the Amazon umbrella. Yeah,
That's
companies owned by Amazon. You'll get a chart, basically. Okay,
Oh
go to
wow.
images.
Okay, okay. I
Go
didn't
to
know.
images. Actually, you did not know.
Good.
Okay.
I didn't know
Go to
Goodreads and all was Amazon or
Audible,
whole.
Audible. Audible is having a monopoly right now. And AWS is like one big, large thing, basically, for them.
IMD. Okay. I mean, Audible and all I knew, but some I didn't. Audible at
Yeah,
least
but
the Amazon branding is there.
you can go to images, basically. Images.
Images. Oh, okay. Right, right.
Images, yeah. There will be charts, basically. See,
Man. Okay, 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 okay.
yeah, you can just go there, basically.
Wait, I'll. Oops.
And it's an expanding portfolio.
Right, right.
So that's because they always want to, JS curve the capital that they have, basically.
Yes, yes,
They
yes.
always want to like Amazon Studios owns all these, streaming companies, like Goodreads, etc. Then
Right.
Prime related things for e-commerce, marketplace, etc., etc., etc. You can see
Grocery
AWS
retail,
is another
media,
thing.
e-commerce, household, healthcare, the cloud computing. I had no idea they're into so many things. Proprietary brands are there. These are the FMCG brands here.
Yeah. Okay. Another
Logistics.
interesting thing I'll show you. Most valued brands in the world. Just Google this. Most valued. There is a very nice infographic. Like there are multiple infographics, but most valued brands in the world. 2023. Yeah, okay, but images.
Images.
Yeah, no, just Google infographic. Infographic. World
Okay, okay.
infographic. Anyway, the one that I wanted has come. It's the second
That's
one.
one.
You can just
Second, this
open
one.
it.
I'll go.
This one, yes. Visual Capitalist. Yeah, this is an interesting website. Visual Capitalist for infographics. Okay. You can
Okay,
just
okay, okay.
open the image. Yeah, yes, that's it. This is of 2022, and this is kind of by like the circle has kind of proportionality of market cap, basically. So
Okay, right, right.
the top three most valued are Apple, Google, Amazon. Apple, Amazon, Google. Then the fourth one is Microsoft, basically.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Facebook is the seventh one, you can see, basically.
Right, right.
There is Walmart and Samsung before Facebook, I think.
Okay, okay.
So you can see, and it is kind of into the sector also. Like the blue thing is media, right?
Hmm. Yeah, media and telecom. Correct, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Then the pink one is banking. So
Hmm.
these are, you can say, the sectors of the world, basically, how the world
Yeah.
economy is getting split, basically.
Yes, yes. Hmm.
Change kar.
Okay. Okay, then we'll go
Oh,
to the next.
yeah, for a moment, my camera will be off, but that's fine, basically. Like
Right, sure, sure.
another one is on, it's coming back on, basically.
Then I'll pin that one. This one I'll unpin and I'll pin you there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you're pinned. When the other camera comes, you let me know, so I'll switch you back.
Hmm.
Okay, so I think yeah, good idea. So, yeah, so
Hmm.
first, would you say intuitively do you start by looking at profitability ratio? Like what do you start with?
In general, what we want to do is like we want to define what we are here to do. Are we here to
Sir.
make a relatively quicker profit, or are we here to find companies to invest in the long run?
Makes
Ideally,
sense.
we should
Okay.
be here for both, basically. Right?
Correct, correct.
So relate, because we are anyway observing the market, right? So why not
Right.
try to earn as much as possible by observing the market, basically,
True.
right?
True. Right.
So
Right.
earning relatively quicker profit. I'm not saying like get rich quick schemes, not like that. Basically,
Hmm.
legitimately, basically, with
Hmm.
some
Hmm.
analysis,
Right.
proper analysis. So in order to earn relatively quick profit on in the stock market, then that's like trading, basically. So
Right.
it,
Correct.
it's more of a momentum and sentiment game, basically.
Right.
But
Right.
now let us say if you are trading cryptocurrencies, then your value can go down to zero. Now let's
Yes.
assume that, like, let's assume that a particular cryptocurrency is at 50,000 USD for one
Hmm.
cryptocurrency, right?
Right. Right.
So you may think that it is shooting, 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 and then you may come in at 50,000. Let's say you buy one cryptocurrency at 50,000, it may
Hmm.
increase to 55. You are very happy, and then suddenly it may fall to 10.
Right. Correct.
Now, if this happens in case of real companies, they have a book value, right? They have assets minus liabilities.
Right. Yeah.
So even if the market says that my company is worth only 1.2 CR, the real worth is 2 CR, right? There is real worth inside that, basically.
Yes. Yes. Correct. Correct.
So that is it. That means real value exists, basically.
Right.
Right?
Right.
The
Correct.
real value is kind of the total valuation of that company,
Hmm.
and assets are one part of that valuation. So the real value can never be less than assets minus liabilities, so as to say. The
Hmm.
market,
Correct. Makes
because
sense.
of
Makes sense.
the market, because of greed and fear, may value it at less than assets minus liabilities, but then that is a
Right.
good opportunity as investors, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Correct.
So Warren Buffett used to talk about this cigar butt approach, wherein which he used to invest in companies
Hmm.
that have more equity than they are trading for.
Okay. Okay. Like that. Right. Right.
So that is the cigar butt approach, basically, right?
Right. Right. So
So if
more
we
of the
are here
cigar
to
butt than the actual white part that you smoke, like that.
correct, exactly, exactly.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So we in the market we should have two dual aims, basically. One is like kind of relatively quick profits. By quick, I'm into say 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 month, five
Okay.
month also.
Okay.
So
Okay.
relatively quick profit
Right.
is one reason because of which we should be in the market, and
Hmm.
another reason should be long term investments, basically.
Right. Right.
So in long term investment, we want to look at companies that have long term competitive advantage, durable competitive advantage as it is called,
Right.
good ethical, able, efficient management.
Hmm.
The product and service is relevant n number of years from now. Like for example, Gillette, like I think Warren Buffett has invested in Gillette. So Gillette is
Hmm.
relevant because no matter how the internet changes or what happens, men will always have hair and will
Right.
need to shave hair, basically.
Correct.
So the,
Correct.
so
Yeah.
the company Gillette is relevant n number of years from now as well.
Hmm.
Similarly, Colgate is also relevant, like because people
Right.
will always,
Brush
uh,
the teeth.
brush their teeth, basically, no matter
Right.
what happens with the internet or what happens in general, basically.
True. True. Yeah.
Right. So, so long-term valuation, like basically, if he had invested in a radio company and he maybe faced losses also by investing in physical newspaper companies, because physical newspapers are not relevant any longer in the internet age, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Correct. Correct. Yeah.
So, but physical newspapers, because of brand and everything, might have been a very good investment back in the 60s or 1960s
Hmm.
and 1970s, something like that.
Right. Right.
So maybe we could have gone in 1970s and exited during the internet era in 2001, 2002, something like that,
Hmm. Hmm.
predicting that news will now be read online on devices,
Yes.
etc., and physical
Yes.
newspapers will become obsolete, basically.
Yes. Yes.
Just one
Correct.
second. Just one second, Sham.
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
इथे चालत नाही काय.
केबल खालून हल्ली होती का?
नाही इथं माझ्या साईडला नव्हती हल्ली.
नाही इथे पण ते आहे टाईट आहे इथे पण. आलं होतं
दिसतंय
मला.
का हे मी
हो
दिसतोय का?
दिसतंय.
Sham, I will exit and join again, okay, a moment.
Acha, okay. Anyway, link you already have, no? So,
Yeah, yeah. हे कुठे ये इकडे येऊन बघ इओस युटिलिटी.
नाही तो कॅमेरा परत चालू करा.
कुठला कॅमेरा?
गुगल मीट आहे ना ती लिंक परत जॉईन व्हा आणि आता पहा ना
गुगल मीटच्या सेटिंग मध्ये
इथे इथे 3 डॉट्स मध्ये सेटिंग खाली सेटिंग व्हिडिओ एकदा मी काढून परत लावून बघतो. लावू सर?
कॅमेरा रिस्टार्ट कर. I'll find a long-term solution to this. Basically, the battery keeps going, na?
अच्छा,
now
okay, okay, right.
I'll ask.
ठीक है, but now it's back, na? हाँ.
Now it's
So I'll
back,
pin.
but I will find a long-term solution, basically.
Sure, sure. Let me just ping your side HD camera 1 second.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll go back to the explain everything board. Cool. Yeah.
Okay. So I think now we are developing a very, and by the way, this intermittent thing has to be edited out by a video editor.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
So anyway, now we are developing, you can say, a very good, thinking heuristic basically as to how to think about companies. Okay.
Yes.
So good companies can be bad investment, bad companies can be good investment.
Good investment, right?
And when we enter the market, we have to first visualize: are we here for trading? That is like looking at the momentum kind of a thing and making a quick profit basically, or are we here for the long haul, the long run basically?
Correct.
In the long run, we have to look at able and efficient management, long-term durable competitive advantage, relevance, and number of years from now, basically. And then finally, price and margin of safety. The price should be less than what we estimate the price to be, basically, right? By a certain margin of safety.
Yes.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
So the question, if somebody asks me whether I should invest in this company or not, I would rather ask them, what is your aim now? Why are you doing it? Is it a short-term aim or is it a long-term aim, basically? If it's a long-term aim, do fundamental analysis on the company.
Yeah.
If it's short-term aim, then short-term principles apply, like momentum trading, etc., swing trading, momentum trading, etc.
Right.
But it is better to even trade with real assets rather than crypto, because crypto can go down to zero. Real assets can't go down to zero, basically.
Correct. And can't we, like I was thinking, Zenith, like can't we kind of do like a hybrid of both also? Like I will only do trading in companies which have like some threshold of like
threshold of equity, something like that.
Threshold of equity or threshold of like long-term success probability,
good,
like that.
It's a very good question, and it's a contradictory statement basically, because companies that have relative stability are called as blue chip companies. They have less volatility. So trading margins and profits will suffer, basically. Think.
Okay.
So there is kind of an inverse correlation, basically.
Acha, okay, got it. So then that makes it tougher. So inherently trading can be done in...
It makes it tougher to get profits in trading, basically.
Right, got it. Makes sense. So the companies you look at will be largely separate for who will end up wanting to.
Largely separate. Sometimes there will be some intersection set, basically.
Got it.
This is like chemistry and biology. Exceptions will always exist, basically. So all that we are doing is pinning down some rules of thumb, basically. That's it.
Got it. Shall we go to the other ratios then?
Yeah.
Okay. So the profitability ratios, let us know how profitable the business will be. Oh yeah, I think the question we had started off with is that, or we were on some time ago, was that these 5 categories of ratios are there, right? So let us forget about trading now. Let us say that we assume that we want to.
Yeah. What I mean to say is, like trading, we will have a separate whole discussion on trading.
We'll
just focus upon fundamental analysis, like valuing companies, basically. Like tomorrow you are going to have, let's say, 10 CR, 20 CR in your bank account, in your portfolio. So you can't really have 20 CR worth of FD. It doesn't make sense, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
FD should be age dependent. Let's say even if you are 80 years old, maybe we'll have only 2 CR in FD or 3 CR in FD. You will try to earn more via investing in
correct. Exactly.
So basically, it's important to be able to value businesses because gold, there is no particular valuation of gold. The value is just told to you basically.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Whatever is at that point in time, etc.
True,
So
true.
you don't really have to apply much brain. You just have to
Right.
apply the brain in terms of how much percentage of your portfolio should be in gold and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, correct.
Real estate is a different game. You need scouting and you need negotiation and things like that, basically. So
Acha, okay,
currently we are
okay.
talking about purely like securities or stock, basically, publicly
Right,
traded
right.
stock. And we are trying to get data in order to at least have some rational valuation criteria, basically. So equities are publicly traded equities and stock are what we are talking about right now, basically.
So say suppose you've identified a company. So we are here for long-term trading. You've identified a company at a very broad
Long
level
term,
that it seems like
long term investment. Yeah,
for
correct.
long-term investment. We know that they seem relevant, they seem to have a good management, and they seem to have a good moat. So this is subjective even before we do the
Correct.
analysis, right? I mean, this is subjective. We start with
And,
that,
and price. The price has to be lesser than
but that we'll only know
the.
after we do analysis, right? Whether the price is lesser or not.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely correct. You
Uh,
don't
so
know.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm talking about pre-analysis. We haven't even looked at the balance sheet yet. So
Okay.
mota, I know that say like we talked about Gillette, right? So we haven't started looking at the statements, but
Okay. So long-term market exists for Gillette, basically, something like that. You
that I've assumed, and there is a let's say I'm
management,
assuming that
able,
moat is
able
there.
and ethical management is there, basically.
Because that probably we'll start with googling that. Oh, yeah, I'm trying
Yeah.
to see the step by step, like what would we do first. So if I
Yeah.
okay, maybe I'll take it back even a few steps earlier. I know nothing. Okay, so
Hmm.
then somebody tells like, so I just Google and see what are some good companies. So I came across some. So Gillette name came up.
Ah.
So I
Hmm.
started Googling. So maybe I'll start Googling first. No, maybe I'll start thinking first about relevance. Right? That's the
Hmm.
first thing probably what I do.
Hmm.
So वो establish हो गया. Then I'd
Hmm.
figure out if they have a moat.
Hmm. 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 Yes.
With maybe some Googling and some subjective
Yeah.
analysis I'll
We
do
will
like.
we will do a big discussion on moats also later. Just on the topic of
हाँ.
moats, we will do a discussion.
Okay. हाँ.
In fact, the next podcast will be that only moats,
Okay.
basically.
Perfect. Yeah, that
Just
would be good.
moats.
Right.
Just moats, basically. That's
Okay.
it.
So then leadership I saw. So after that, after I see these things, leadership mode and
Hmm.
long-term relevance,
Hmm.
when I start to come to the financial statements, which ratios would you start to look at first, probably, like to quickly see if it is worth getting into
Price,
or
price to earnings ratio.
okay, like that. Oh, interesting, right.
Kind of to judge the price because it is if it is overpriced, basically, then kind of
Why bother?
like, yeah, why bother, basically, like that.
Right. Interesting. So
But
then
but
let's
but
also
now
look
the
at it.
thing is this, we will still bother. I'll tell you why. There have been cases wherein which I'll just to give a typical example of Warren Buffett because that's like the go-to very
Yeah.
easy publicly analyzable case study type of example. So he has analyzed the company and found it to be profitable and a good company, but it was overpriced at that point in time
At
of
that time,
analysis. So
correct.
he waited till the market crashed. Like for example, COVID
Right,
happened. So Gillette
right,
price will suddenly go down to 1,000 from 5,600. Let's say
right,
you will think that the Gillette price per share is 3,000 appropriate basically with some
right,
margin of
right,
safety.
right.
Now if it goes to 1,000 then you can buy basically something
Yes,
like that.
got it. Oh
So
yeah, so maybe
it is much better to scout for companies and do fundamental analysis on them and get to your price without looking at the actual price. There should be a software that
right.
doesn't display the price but just displays the other data basically.
Oh yeah,
That
makes
software should
that's a
also be
good
there basically, right? So we
right.
will come
Yeah,
up with our own price basically based upon the data and then
correct.
compare with the available price.
Correct. Got
And
it.
after
Right.
and after that, we will compare with other opportunities that we have, including the
Yeah,
ones that are already in our portfolio. So this is called as the
right.
cost of like a cost of opportunity or opportunity cost.
Yes,
So
makes sense. Right.
Charlie Munger keeps talking about it. Like for example, if you don't want to diversify, if that is not a requirement currently, the portfolio is sufficiently diversified, and then
Mhm.
you get something that is like with a margin of safety. Let's say like share price is 3,000, let us say, and then you are getting it at 1,000, let us say,
Mhm.
so margin of safety is there,
Yes,
66% basically.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then something in your own portfolio has greater margin of safety, let us say 80%. You will
Hmm.
much rather invest in your own portfolio basically, but you will still
Right.
keep an eye out on this company.
Correct.
Even if margin
Got
of
it.
safety will increase more, some COVID type events will happen, black swan events will happen. People will see the thing that happens with markets is that greed gets amplified and panic also gets amplified.
Gets amplified.
So,
Correct.
so it's like the company is going at this slope because of greed, the slope increases like this.
Right. Right.
Company whose revenue is increasing, it's kind of
Mhm.
exponentially increasing because of the greed thing. The market price is exponentially increasing more than it should.
Right. Right. Are you drawing, by the way? I can't.
No, I'm not drawing. I'm
Oh, you
just
don't.
doing
हाँ
it
ठीक
basically.
है.
Okay, but anyway, I will draw. I think this is something.
Okay.
It's a good thing to draw basically.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so so companies whose, let us say, companies price should increase and valuation should increase at this rate.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
but because of greed, what happens? It increases at this rate, like this, exponentially.
Correct. Correct.
Now there is a value correction that happens because of something like
Hmm.
anything, general value correction also, or because of some black swan event also. The value
Yes.
correction that happens basically, then let's say now this is the correct value of the company, right? This is the correct value of the
Correct.
company.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
When value correction happens, it kind of can tend to go like this basically.
Hmm. Correct. Correct.
So there is this is related to chemical equilibrium basically. So it's like dynamic
Hmm.
chemical equilibrium.
Right.
So it is offshooting, overshooting, undershooting, overshooting, undershooting. Over the long run, it will kind of lead to that average basically.
Right.
So there
Right.
is this saying na, that in the short term, the stock market is like a voting machine. Anybody can vote and decide your value. In the long run, it's like a weighing machine. So truth and reality will decide the value in the long run, basically.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
everything will come back to its kind of average value, kind of a thing, basically.
Right.
And
Right.
see, if the company is not doing any expansion, then also just because inflation is happening,
Hmm.
just purely because inflation is happening, its price is supposed to increase, basically.
Yes.
At,
Yes. Correct.
at minimum, the inflation rate, basically,
Yes.
minimum.
Yes. Right.
Even if they are not doing anything innovative or something like that. So that is the benefit that we have when we are in a business as opposed to just keeping liquid cash at home.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
see, because liquid cash at home means that is getting devalued because governments are printing more and more currency because of the current
Yes.
financial model of the world, basically.
Yes. Yes.
So governments are just printing more and more currency.
Yeah.
That means like liquid cash is going to get devalued, basically.
Yes.
So cash flow securing investments are the ones that we should look at, but at the same time, we need liquid cash to live, basically.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So hence that thing, like some amount of liquid cash should be there, but liquid cash also is proportional to runway. Now that runway gives peace of mind, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why short-term debt-based instruments like FDs, etc., are also relevant, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Correct.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
after some liquidity is maintained by you, then you can go to real estate. And then after that, you can go to real estate gold that are relatively safer asset classes. Real estate can also be
Right.
a good or bad investment. We'll have another separate session just purely on real estate, basically, I feel.
Acha, okay, okay, okay. So on
Purely
moat on
on
real
types of
estate.
real estate and things like that. Yeah.
So I just note this down now.
Yeah. One is
Future.
modes and one is real estate, basically.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Oh, right. Uh,
Yeah.
ठीक है. So
So just to complete the thought. So
yeah, yeah.
when we are into the market, basically,
Hmm.
what I will look at a couple of things. I'll look at what is the market cap just to get an idea of like and compared to the total market cap of the sector itself, basically. At
Right.
least the
Okay.
top 10 players. At least the
Hmm.
top 10 players. Okay, that doesn't mean that lower players can't win. They can potentially win, basically. That is
Hmm.
what I look at in general, basically. I look at the management, etc. And then basically I'll look at then what potential competitive advantages that this company can have
Right.
compared to others, basically. So this is like there my specific knowledge may come into play, basically, with respect to some company or some company's best practices and things like that. And
Right.
then I will search for moats, basically, that potentially companies can have. So this
Right.
involves a lot of reading of annual reports. So in the future, we will be reading, yeah, one more podcast session you can note down. In the future, we'll be reading annual reports also of companies and
Right. Right.
looking for nuggets there, basically, wisdom nuggets
Right.
there.
Right.
And trying
Right.
to understand
Nice.
how to read annual reports and what to do with them, basically. Yeah.
Right.
And
Right. Awesome.
annual reports also tell a lot about what a company and business is doing. They tell a lot,
Hmm.
actually.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it will
Then,
give the subjective nuggets also. I mean,
correct.
probably like this can give the quantitative stuff.
Correct, correct. So profitability ratios are quite well done now, basically.
Yes, yes, right.
Liquidity are more to do with the runway, basically. How
Yes,
how
yes.
much liquid cash does the company have? But you can go
Correct,
through that.
correct, correct, correct. Okay, okay.
So you can even a basic 101 level fundamental analysis can also be are the profitability ratios healthy or becoming healthy? Are the liquidity ratios healthy or becoming healthy? Like
Hmm.
that. Are the leverage ratios healthy or becoming healthy?
Hmm.
Basically,
Hmm.
that kind of a thing. And
Right.
maximum profit happens when the market thinks that they are not healthy, but you know that they are healthy. Basically,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
that is when the maximum profit happens. Basically,
So typically, so how is the market? I mean, of course, the greed gets amplified.
fear also gets amplified. Both things
Fear gets
get amplified.
amplified. But how exactly? Because it's not retail investors that are there a lot in India, right? From what I understand. I'm not very sure. But
So
if it's
no,
institution,
you can check out the percentage, na? Like in the Indian stock
okay.
market, percentage. So everything is Googleable, na, now basically.
Uh, but I to even ask Bard because then I can. Okay, but I don't know if it's accurate. Okay, let's see. Indian investor.
Yeah, 36.5% retail investors. It fell from 40.7% to 36.5% from 22 to 23.
Oh,
So in 21 it was 45% retail investors, in 22 40.7%, and in 23 36.5%. According to my Google results, basically.
okay. So basically, it's falling a little bit, but yeah, that's more than I thought actually.
Yeah, you would have thought that it's very less, basically, right? It,
Okay.
it's
These.
happening because of easy to invest one click apps like Zerodha and Grow and the Gen Z generation who wants to invest in stock market, basically, even though they may or
Okay.
may not understand it, basically.
Okay. Right. So you think that like say 10 years, 20 years ago, it was significantly
Less.
lesser or something?
Yeah, probably.
Acha. Okay. Anyway, share of this is I don't know if this is the right thing. Index futures. No, that's not what I'm in equity, right? So Indian. What did you Google by the way? Is it?
I googled this like percentage of retail investors in the Indian stock market. I
Okay.
will in fact copy paste the Google query.
Honey, I got it. I think it came as a auto suggest also.
Yeah,
So was it the first image you took?
not even image, like just I read out the result basically, the
Okay.
all result basically.
Correct. Separately, data shows the interest level of retail investor stock is varying since past. ठीक है 45 40 that's a lot 45 40 oh yeah that can really drive things and I'm sure institutional investors also they are still employees and they also have to play it safe
Yeah,
so that
institutional investors is roughly 24.44% as of 2022 December.
oh that's like I totally had a wrong idea of Indian Indian stock market actually then.
Right. And again, 8% like the taxpayers, na 8% of people hold stock market assets basically in India as a country.
Okay so 8% of that our population no right.
Right.
Hmm. Okay, sounds good. So then, though, yeah, it's a lot easier to understand also why greed and fear would get amplified.
Correct.
Right. ठीक है. Uh, cool. Liquidity ratios. Shall I? Okay, I'll go check liquidity ratios. I think cash by current liabilities. Okay. So what do you think of these ratios? Cash by nothing intuitive comes to mind.
Cash by current liability. No, it does make sense. Na? How much cash the company holds compared to the current liabilities.
Okay,
So,
something that you have to pay back
liability
fast,
people can
like
come
that,
and ask
right?
you for liabilities basically. So how can
Right,
you
right.
pay them basically? So only by the liquid cash you can potentially pay them like that.
Right. Correct. So it's basically the quickest thing you have to pay off are the current liabilities. So how much
Exactly.
cash, liquid cash you have?
So higher the liquid cash, the better it is. So higher this
Yes,
liquidity ratio, the better it is basically.
yes. Higher the ratio, better it is. Correct. Okay, quick
So
ratios
by
then
the way,
in.
we should just take a moment to just read the balance sheet basically. Okay. So you can
We can
in
take.
another
We can.
yeah you can just Google on in another tab basically what is the meaning of like examples of balance sheet. Just do that. Examples of balance sheet. So balance sheet just lists out the like assets and liabilities. So you can
Assets
go
and
to
liabilities, correct.
you can go here. Yeah, just click on it and just open.
Yeah.
It's when we delve deep into it, it's quite interesting, all these things basically. We can just
Right.
like take a company, read the report, and know more about an industry, get to know
Right.
more, and then predict the winners basically.
Yes. Yes. Right.
Okay,
Right.
so assets are divided as current assets,
Correct.
investment, and the first thing is current asset. First head is current assets. Second
Correct.
head is investments. The third is
Investments.
PPE, property, plant, and equipment. Very important, PPE. And then
Okay.
after that, you get intangibles like goodwill, etc. So this goodwill is amortized basically. So
Okay. Okay.
like if goodwill is reducing, that is the meaning kind of amortization, as far
Right.
as I understand right now.
Right. Right.
So
How
other
does
than
goodwill come again? I forgot about it.
goodwill, it's like brand. So just forget about it. Just brand. Just think about brand.
Right.
Just brand.
Right. But how does it enter? Because with each transaction,
So
these things
I'll
get
tell you.
into. Uh,
I'll tell you. No, no. How does it enter the balance sheet? That is like kind of according to accounting principles, which I am also not 100% sure of basically.
right.
But
Right.
this is what this big accounting firms like Deloitte and KPMG etc do, right? Basically.
Right. Right.
So like there are big four accounting firms in the world. You can also
Correct.
Google
Correct.
in the new tab like the big four accounting firms basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think PwC,
PwC, Deloitte, EY,
KPMG.
and KPMG. Yeah.
Yeah, EY
EY.
and KPMG. Correct.
I think one of them did did some acquisitions happen. I don't remember, but yeah, Deloitte, PwC, EY, and
So we
KPMG.
can we can later Google about how exactly amortization is calculated or goodwill is calculated basically.
Right. Yeah.
Even I'm not sure about how exactly goodwill is calculated. Okay.
Okay. Right.
So it is
Right.
something to do with brand recall, how the public perceives the brand, etc., so on and so forth, basically.
I think what I seem to remember from I think whenever this was taught uh, in B school, and all that it seemed a little shady. I have this vague memory like that. Okay, we'll figure it out as
Yeah,
to
yeah.
how it comes. Like when we can't add anything
Mm.
in assets, then we add goodwill or something like
Yeah,
that. I
something.
seem to
Yeah.
remember. We'll see.
So this is where like accounting hocus pocus can potentially be pulled off also, basically. Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
current liabilities are there, then long term liabilities are there. Okay, and total
yeah,
liabilities. Okay.
yeah.
And then
Correct,
balance
correct.
sheet also mentions stockholders' equity. Okay. So that means, yeah,
Correct. That is how it
equity
will.
assets minus liability. Yeah.
Yes. That is how
It's a,
both are balancing out. Correct.
hmm.
Right. So quick ratio they're saying is your liquid assets. That's the current assets. Oh, sorry,
Hmm.
cash upon no, liquid assets upon current liability. So not
Hmm.
just stopping at cash, but
Yeah.
all the other liquid assets also. Like in case it
Yeah.
came down to it, how fast we can pay back upon the current liabilities. Fine. Quick ratio
Yeah.
going a bit beyond cash,
Yeah.
basically.
Going a bit beyond cash, cash plus liquid assets that can be sold very
Yeah.
easily. Basically, like that.
Yes. Right. Current as. So, wait, what was this again then? Current assets by current liabilities. Liquid assets and current assets, acha, there must be a small difference of certain items. Like inventory might not be liquid assets, I
Yeah,
guess. Or,
inventory might not be liquid assets, basically. Huh?
acha, like that.
Receivables will be assets, like supplies might not be.
Right.
Prepaid
Right.
expenses are not liquid. Like let's say you already paid for Reliance Jio 5 years of internet service. That they are not going to refund you.
Right.
That is still
ठीक है,
your
so
asset. You
minor
have paid for
difference.
it.
हाँ, got it. ठीक है, liquid asset is still like you can call up somebody and be like, अच्छा ठीक है, जल्दी पैसे दे
हाँ
दो,
जल्दी
something
जल्दी दे
like
दो
that.
या मतलब लेके जाओ ये जल्दी दे
हाँ,
दो. That kind of a thing basically.
ठीक है. Small difference, but yeah, like I guess I guess in certain situations could be important differentiation, I guess. But I think broadly they ideally should
Yeah,
give the
generally
same
speaking,
picture,
see,
right?
the thing is like generally speaking, the way to think about this cash ratio, quick ratio, etc. Na, is that
Hmm.
what is the industry standard? How is this company doing?
Makes
So
sense.
it
Yeah.
is just like a checkpoint basically. If the company is doing
Hmm.
at par or better than the industry standard, then we are fine.
Right. Got
If
it.
the
Got it.
company is
Right.
doing worse, then we have a problem. Then that is a red flag.
Yes. Got it. ठीक है. Now we'll go to efficiency ratios.
Yeah, let's go to efficiency ratios.
Oh. So, ठीक है. Efficiency ratios, how efficiently, yeah. Yeah, in this case, I'll just for the next two ones, I'll just see the category explanation by this guy also. I think it'll help. The other
Sure,
two are
sure.
way
But
more intuitive to me. These two, I understand, but still, I'll just go through. So measure how effective a business is at selling inventory to customers. How effective it is, okay, at selling. Okay, so basically efficiency of the business at a very large level. Usme there are two parts: turnover ratios and cash conversion cycle. So we look at both. Okay, so have we moved to inventory turnover ratio? ठीक है, ठीक है. Okay.
what are they meaning as inventory over here exactly? Cost of goods sold divided by inventory. So
So
COGS
I
is
guess the
cost of
inventory,
goods
huh?
sold. So
Hmm.
I think that inventory in stock basically, something like that. So if you are a clothing
That's what I mean.
company, then let's say
Right.
you sell the goods like you have in stock worth 100,000 rupee, let's say $100,000 of goods in stock, and then
Right.
and then the, and then the cost of goods is actually $50,000, something like that basically. But I
Or
don't
I was
understand.
thinking maybe it's like what I understood is that cost of
Cost
goods
of
sold
goods
for the
sold is
entire
very easy
year.
to understand. COGS is very easy to understand. What is
Huh.
inventory here basically?
So I think probably that's it's like a snapshot thing that right now, say suppose if your COGS is 1 lakh for the 1 lakh, and but the inventory you need to hold is very less, then that means that it's turning over fast. That means you're selling very fast, and you need to hold very less inventory as compared to
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
producing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, makes sense, makes sense. How
So that way,
quickly is the
like,
inventory getting sold? Basically?
huh,
That kind of-
sold out. Yeah. So if you're not selling out fast, then
So
it'll be like a small number.
correct. So you can think like this basically cost of goods sold is 1 lakh and inventory that you need to hold in order to sell
Huh.
1 lakh worth of good is 2 lakh basically, something like
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
cannot sell
I
more
mean,
than you
it'll be.
have. No, you cannot sell more than you
Huh. So,
have. Something like
oh
that.
no.
So
Oh,
you are
I
you
thought
are
it was.
housing 2 lakh worth of inventory basically, and you are selling 1
Mhm.
lakh worth of inventory. Although you can if you are doing a third party model or something like that basically, but then if you are doing a third party model, inventory to ratio only doesn't make sense. So you are doing something like a Blinkit or something like that, wherein which you are not housing inventory in house basically.
Okay, no, my understanding was a little bit different. Actually, the problem here is that cost of goods sold is not a snapshot value that's in the balance sheet, right? It is an income statement ka thing, na, that the entire year ka. What I
Yeah, yeah,
understand
yeah.
is that.
Cost of goods sold is a not a snapshot value in the balance sheet. Cost of goods sold
Uh,
is a periodic value basically.
correct. So
So
the way I saw it,
I
it's
am
like.
saying the same thing. The cost of goods sold will be a fraction of inventory. That's what I am also getting at basically. You will
Oh,
have
no,
some
I'm saying the other way
inventory
around.
that
Like,
is
no, the inventory will be a fraction of cost of goods sold. No? So that means that
okay. So
with
let's
if
see
I've
whether let's see whether this value is greater than one or less than one. Basically, typically for companies.
uh.
Just
So
just let's Google the inventory turnover ratio for Gillette. Let's say for example.
okay. So inventory turnover ratio for Gillette.
Okay, 1.6,
1.6. So
5.9.
5.9. So I think what they mean is that over that
So
period of time.
I am yet to better understand this.
So Zarit, ऐसा है ना कि like suppose I
Hmm.
have, say I'm selling in a year 1,000 t-shirts, but I'm
Hmm.
selling it so fast that at any point in time I only need 100 t-shirts ka inventory like that. That I
Okay.
make it in first month 100, but I'm selling it so next month, like, I mean, I don't need to expand beyond my capacity. Inventory capacity need not be more than 100 because I'm selling so fast.
Okay,
Like as soon as
okay,
it comes,
okay,
it gets
okay.
sold,
So
like
it's
something
about
like that.
like yeah, speed of selling basically, kind of a thing.
Speed of selling. Speed of
Speed
selling.
of selling compared to what you have in-house stored, basically, something like that.
Yes, compared to what you're selling over the
So,
entire year.
for physical product companies, inventory turnover ratio is a very good indicator of how fast things are. So it's
Yeah.
like the velocity of sales of physical goods, something like that we can say.
Correct,
Velo-
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
can even like replace it by velocity of sales of physical goods, basically.
Exactly. That velocity, very close to the velocity of
So,
sales,
so if
basically.
you if you see so if you see Gillette is showing good indication over here, because in June 22 it was 1.6 when people were in COVID lockdown, and in June 20 it was 5.19. 23 I don't know what it is basically.
So it is cost of goods. So it's actually reduced. It should higher is better, right? Like, I mean, that means more
Yeah, higher
velocity.
is
Like,
better. Yeah. I'm sorry, it is not like I thought that the other number was the
so
other like I thought
ha.
5.9 was the latest value. Basically.
Oh yeah, so this
Like
is actually interesting. I mean, yeah, something interesting going on there, I guess.
correct.
I don't know.
No, but that means that there might be a correction basically, or there might be some
Hmm.
other competitors, like people might be switching to, trimmers. And our fundamental assumption that people will shave and
Hmm.
Gillette will always be relevant. So Gillette might not have pivoted along the next JS curve of trimmers basically. Because have you heard about
Possible.
Gillette trimmers? I haven't basically. Gillette trimmers.
Trimmers.
Not
Actually,
really.
no, that's surprising. Yeah,
Not
yeah.
really, right? Surprisingly. And most
Uh,
people use trimmers these days as well, basically.
Plus, there's a trend. I mean, trend-wise, also, I think more men are having beards and all that, and
Correct.
also.
Correct. So they are actually using barber services basically, not exactly Gillette. So
Hmm.
like trimmers work well with beards basically. Grooming the
Yeah,
beards, trimmers work well
yeah.
rather than like clean shave basically via Gillette.
Yes. So these are hypotheses we can check out when we see such
Yeah.
data, I guess.
And then we have to always go back to our original assumptions as well. So whenever we are investing in any company, we can have a checklist. Okay, what are the original assumptions? And every periodically we can
Hmm.
write from the original assumptions till the end. Like, has the management changed basically? Was
Huh.
the earlier, like for example, Reliance management was good, then it got split into Anil and Mukesh, and then Mukesh said was good
Hmm.
and Anil was bad basically, apparently from a
Right.
business standpoint basically. So
Right. Got
if
it.
somebody was continuing to be an investor in Anil Ambani owned companies, that they would have tanked basically, right?
Yeah. Correct.
That way.
Correct.
So all the assumptions need to be periodically checked basically. So it's like
Yeah.
investing is like a game of data. So you are always
Hmm.
tapping data and kind of reviewing your assumptions and checking what changed, what did not change, and so on and so forth basically.
Yeah.
All this against the overall background of physics basically. Like money is just
Um.
nothing but a tool that is relating to proportionality with the energy flux essentially, and the
Yes.
potential
Yes.
energy flux and that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
So Gillette is kind of like this is bad, and PE ratio. Okay, let PE ratio was at, I think, at par with the industry PE ratios, which I think are relatively higher only for FMCG goods basically, because FMCG
Oh,
goods are
acha, okay.
relatively cash.
You look at
This Gillette
the
PE ratio was 50 plus. Basically.
where are
We
we? Where
looked
are
at
we
it
looking?
with screener.in.
Acha, screen में got it. हाँ.
Hmm. Yeah, so CPE ratios are relatively high only.
Yeah.
Seen at 88, like quite overpriced. Gillette has 55.
Yeah.
And there are only four big players, and there is no tail because this is a capex heavy industry, right? Like
Is there,
small
then
players.
sorry, I think the audio got cut. Can you repeat what you were saying
So
last
this is a capex
last
heavy
10, 20
industry. So
seconds?
there are only four main players because this is a capex heavy
Yeah.
industry, right?
Yes. Yeah.
There are only four main players.
But I guess
Okay.
ITC they could have brought. No, I'm thinking like I don't know. Maybe they don't consider it big enough for.
No, it is big actually. So you can go to the
Mhm.
FMCG and then they are okay. They are doing personal care basically industry sector. If you
Oh,
go, then
personal
they
care
will
and
be more. I think.
multinational also. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Right.
multinational also. Yeah.
Got it.
So if you can
Probably.
go to FMCG, right? Just yeah, there will be more.
Oh, right. Okay. There are many more now, and it's sorted by market cap.
Yeah. You can sort it by anything basically. That's the good thing basically.
Cool.
You can even sort it by dividend yield also. Example.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just sort it by PE, for example. PE, like this can be one method to filter out, relatively cheaper companies. So
A little cheaper
there
companies,
is one
correct.
company that has PE of 2864, very ridiculous basically.
Oh
And
my.
the
Oh,
let's go down the lower
what?
there is page number 5. So there are filters also basically. We will look at how to use tools as well. basically.
Right. Okay. Oh yeah, right. We'll use. Okay. So this is crazy here.
Four.
Okay, four,
So,
four.
so Warren Buffett approach will say that, okay, start looking from here. Start looking at
Right.
modern diaries and start looking at Chamatlal Sethia, 78. Start looking at like
Hmm.
this and do fundamental analysis on them.
Yes.
Chamatlal Sethia
Yes.
seems interesting because it has a relatively larger market cap of 1031 CR. So 1000
Hmm.
CR company. So let's look at Chamatlal Sethia. So we are talking about trying investments, right? So it
Yeah.
has a
Yeah.
relatively less PE compared to the sector, as we can see.
Yeah.
So a fundamental analysis on Chamatlal Sethia, this is what Warren Buffett sits and does all day long, basically, right?
Acha. Right. Correct.
Right click Chamatlal Sethia, right click it.
New tab.
New tab, yes. Right click on new tab, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So okay, so here is 199. Okay. So let's look at the max of the stock price graph. Let's look at the volatility and things like that. Okay. Max.
Hmm.
Just do max. This is
Acha.
1 year, right? Do max.
Oh, right. And max means okay. Okay.
Yeah, max. And this shows volume traded basically. So currently volume is not being traded basically. And 199 is
Hmm.
the price, and 199 is also kind of like all-time high basically. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Somewhat related to the all-time high basically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in June 2018, it had surpassed basically, okay, that value. So go up. Let's look at, okay, they are selling for 199 and their market cap is 1031 CR. Now let's look at how many assets and liabilities they have on their books. So we can start like this basically, right?
Hmm.
Okay,
So
okay.
here.
This website says that there are no cons and there are only pros basically. So here, see, everything is given, operating profit and things like that. So I think balance sheet. We need to go to balance sheet basically. Okay. So
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
you can see ऊपर सब कुछ दिया है, chart analysis, peers, profit and loss,
Okay.
balance sheet. See
अच्छा
balance
हाँ
sheet.
बैलेंस शीट इधर है right.
Balance sheet. Okay. So here,
Okay.
like this, we can start and we can just
बैलेंस
look
शीट
at
इधर हाँ
total assets. Okay. Now these are total assets, but we can't take like we have to take it with a pinch of salt, basically. Okay. Why? Because there might be
Hmm.
accounting errors, accounting
Yeah.
injustifications, etc.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
if we are going to do, see, these are 8-1, it just looks like 818, but it is actually 818 CR, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Correct.
so balance sheet, this is like total assets, and let's look at total liabilities now.
Total liabilities also. अच्छा, wait,
Go
हाँ.
scroll down. Scroll down.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, cash flow ratios. Shareholding. Okay,
हाँ.
just a second.
Shareholding
Shareholding
pattern.
pattern kind of tells you about the promoters, because if shareholding is more with the promoters, 73%
Hmm.
is with the promoter, that is quite a good amount with the promoters, basically, you can see.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this
Yeah. Yeah.
Chamatlal Sethia would be a family in India that is publicly trading, and most
Yeah.
of it is with the family only, basically, right?
Yes. Yes. Correct.
FII is foreign institutional investors. Okay.
Right.
DII is
Right.
domestic institutional investors. And public
Right.
is 24% is with public.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
mostly it is owned by like the
The
family and
family.
public,
हाँ.
family and
हाँ.
public, you can say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And family is consistently owning 73.897, that kind of percentage. So they are not
Yeah.
selling. This is a
Yeah.
very good sign, basically. That means that they are
Yes.
ethical management. Unethical management tries to dump their stock and shares, basically.
अच्छा. अच्छा. Okay. Okay.
So we
Okay.
are
Okay.
getting a good vibe with the management, basically. Here.
Okay. Right. Here.
So the data
Right.
can also reflect, not only the reputation of the manager, but data can also reflect, basically. So
Oh, they are. This is pretty nice. They even like go into great detail as
they
to.
are segregated by names as well, basically. See,
Right. So nobody's dumping or anything. ठीक है.
yeah, people are not dumping.
हाँ.
So this is like
Ex-
investor, basically. Yeah. Go to
right.
balance sheet once again, because we just talked about we just saw assets, basically, right? In balance
So
sheet. But
assets here,
okay,
liabilities.
there are liabilities and all, basically.
The
Everything is
structure
there.
of the structure of this balance sheet is a little different, and liabilities on
Yeah, the
top.
structure of this balance
We have
sheet is
to
little different. Correct.
we have to kind of expand on each of them like that.
Yeah. But total liabilities, it says, yeah, just okay. After expansion, are you getting it? Because
After
it says total liabilities 818, and that confuses me, basically. Total
I think that
liabilities is what?
they including the equity capital and all that. So see, equity capital is 10.35. Then borrowings, other liabilities. So they haven't split it as like long term borrowing, short term borrowings. We'll have to kind of categorize on our own, I think, because their categories are a little different.
Sometimes we
Uh,
can also go to documents. So you can go to the last tab, documents, and we can even download what are annual reports
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Okay.
correct,
So
correct,
they
correct.
have filed. They are filed for an financial year 2022. You can go there.
We'll take that. We'll take that.
Yeah, yeah. And here, see, Chamatlal's here.
ठीक है, let's
They have
see.
filed
हाँ,
basically, right? And here you can scroll down to the balance sheet. Actually, there is always a balance sheet inside the annual report,
correct,
basically.
correct. Yeah, yeah.
So now this is what Warren Buffett does. People read
Hmm.
magazines and watch Netflix and all. He
Yeah,
reads this report basically
yeah, yeah.
and tries to get a fundamental view on the company. Because see, this seems to be like a good investment from the price, only from the price and management. So two filters, it is
Yes,
kind of passing basically.
yes,
Kind of,
yes, yes. Right.
kind of. We don't know about long-term durable competitive. We don't even know what the company sells.
Hmm.
Basically.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
there is definitely no brand mode because we have not heard about it basically, right? There is no
Yes,
brand
yes,
mode as
correct,
such,
correct,
basically.
correct. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And there's no index also, sadly, so I'm having to
Correct.
like look through everything. Okay, let me see. Let me see.
But then annual reports are weird basically, sometimes even deliberately. To offer
Okay,
cheap things
okay.
basically.
अच्छा, okay, okay, okay. Let me see कहीं पे
Balance sheet
mention
would
है
be
क्या?
towards the end, I think balance sheet would be.
Okay, okay. ठीक है, नीचे से I'll start
नीचे
scrolling.
से will go नीचे से.
Yeah, this is okay. Uh,
But this is the process that a person who is going to do analysis has to go through. Yeah, I think we have it now. We have something here. Particulars, payment. No, this is I think include.
I think these all seem to be notes, so that means that the balance sheet must be above, I guess. Yeah. So we'll have to rotate this
So this is
and
depreciation, etc. Na? Balance as of this thing. This is
oh,
depreciation.
schedule.
Something.
Oh,
Schedule of
sorry, sorry. Yeah,
asset
yeah,
value.
yeah.
Cash
Cash
flow.
flow
This is cash
statement.
flow.
Okay, chalo.
Yeah. Other
Changes in
equity,
equity,
changes in equity. This is
profit and
actually
loss, P&L.
P&L.
Finally.
Yeah. As of 31st March 2022 filing, basically. Okay.
Yes,
So
yes,
here you
yes.
have got in that kind of standard format, basically. See,
Yes, yes, correct.
non-current assets, property, plant, equipment. He unka. They are saying this should be in lakhs. Okay, this is not in CRs. Okay, this is in lakhs. So
Okay.
47. Remember that the company market cap is 1,000 crore, something like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
compared to
okay.
that, their property, plant, and equipment is what? 4760. So 47 CR. They have
Yeah.
PPE worth 47 CR. Can you see that?
Yes, yes. That is on March. That is in 2021. Now it's become
And now it is 52 CR. The
52 CR. Yeah,
47 CR
yeah,
has increased to 52.33 CR basically.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So here we have to be careful about numbers also basically. This is like 52.33 CR basically.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Correct, correct.
Capital work in progress is 6
6
point
crore.
yeah 6.24 CR. Intangible assets, etc. So if you are going to seriously invest in this company, you will probably take all these numbers in Excel sheet and
Hmm.
things like that properly if you are going to invest
Correct,
in a
correct,
company.
correct. Yeah.
So anyway, total assets count to be like I'm not going into the particulars basically, but total assets account for they are saying 62,000, so 620 CR basically.
Yes. Yeah.
They are saying total assets account for 620 CR. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
total assets year on year for 2 years have increased basically.
Yes.
So
Yes.
okay, so the market cap. See, think about this. The market cap is 1,050 CR something, right? But total
Hmm.
assets are 620 CR. Now we are calculate liabilities. They are saying 57 CR are the liabilities total.
Right. Correct. Correct. Yeah. Correct. Correct. Correct.
Yeah. So 620
So,
minus not
so
57. Yeah, is it
no, one
57 only? It's 57.
154 crore current liabilities, 154 crore, and long-term
Yeah,
borrowings,
okay.
long-term liabilities are 57 crore, right? ठीक है. Because out of which 409 crore is the shareholders equity. Yeah. So I think this 57 crore plus 154 crore, so maybe around 211 crores or something is the overall liabilities, the current plus
Yeah.
long-term liabilities.
Total liabilities. And what is
Yeah, yeah.
shareholders equity? Like it is little small
400
for
and
me to read basically.
Oh,
to share.
400 and 400 and I'll make it bigger for you. Yeah, this is a
Yeah.
shareholder's liability, 409
So
crores.
409 crores, so
Yes.
410 crores roughly,
Uh,
and
and
total liability.
57 plus 154 is the liabilities. 57 plus
Yeah.
154. So
So something like
211.
211, something like that. Okay.
Yes. So 211 crores of
Yeah.
liabilities versus 620 crores of assets, like that. Yeah.
This is bad, right? Because the market, see, we have not even looked at ignore the share price because share price depends upon number of shares outstanding, etc. Right? So
Correct. Yeah.
just think like this basically. Their
Huh.
total assets are for 410 CR. Their total liabilities are 150 CR. No,
Uh,
211 CR, sorry. Total
211
assets
CR. The total assets are 620 CR, no, 621 almost.
621 CR.
The
Okay, total assets
total assets. This 40, that 410 is the
200
equity.
211 CR are liabilities. So
Correct.
assets are 621, liabilities are 211 basically. But then the market cap is
Hmm.
1100 basically.
Hmm.
Market cap is 1000, yeah, 1015.
Yeah.
Check the market cap again in this thing.
It is 1000 something only. Uh, Let me see. 1031 crore
Yeah,
market cap.
1031 basically.
But their
So
assets are only, yeah,
yeah,
correct. 600
their
and,
assets are 621 and liabilities are also 211. Like
yeah. So that means
shareholders equity is that basically. Yeah. So
yes.
market cap,
Correct.
so basically what they are saying is these are their assets basically. Means let's say there is no value to the activities of the company. You just sell like a pure real estate transaction. Like you
Hmm.
just sell the assets basically. Then we will be left with 411 CR. Against that, they are
Yeah.
asking us 1050 CR. So if you have 1050 CR, will
Yeah.
you buy the entire company? Is what the question is basically.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That means their activity has to be worth more than 600 CR basically.
Yeah.
For
Correct.
a lifetime, the activity has to generate a profit at 10% returns, net profit of 60 CR.
Hmm.
But that is only for the 600 CR. If you look at,
Yeah.
they are asking us 1050 CR. So if you are going to do that 10% or like kind of a thing, the profit has to be in the range of 80 CR to 100 CR basically profit on
Yes.
on 1050 CR basically. So let's
Hmm.
look at their net profit basically in the balance sheet. Is it
Yeah.
80 CR?
Let
So
us
net
see.
profit will be in the
Oh,
income
sorry.
statement. No, not here.
Correct. No,
Income
no,
statement.
look at the report.
Net
Yeah.
profit will be in the
That is
income
right below
statement, not
actually.
in
Yeah.
the balance sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
P&L
profit
statement
and
mein
loss.
hai. Yeah.
Yeah.
So profit
80 CR के रेंज में है क्या?
before tax. We'll look at the final tax only, na, net profit.
The final 64 CR है. So still
Yeah.
it does 64 CR. मतलब it is in range basically.
Hmm.
And previous year का 82 था क्या?
Previous year का 82 था, तो that is a bit concerning कि थोड़ा कम हो
Okay,
गया.
let's think
But
what the company does. Let's try to find out the website.
Chamanlal
Let's
Seth here, yeah.
so but it's okay. There can be various angles. We attack the problem from
Yeah.
the financial angle right now. Basically, there can be various
Yes.
angles. Basically,
Yeah, there
right?
could be reasons.
Right. See, the thing is this: if you park your money here, let's say you have got 1 CR, you park it here. You even if you
Oh.
suffer loss, it may become only 80 lakhs. But if you park 1 CR in crypto, it may go down to zero. That's the
Oh,
difference
yeah.
between crypto and equity, basically.
Right. Yeah. Correct.
That's the thing. Okay.
Also,
Basmati
isn't there
rice.
some
Okay.
isn't there
Basmati
some
rice.
rule? Basmati rice exporting. Yeah.
Long range, it's raw basmati, polished basmati, smoked rice. Okay. The rice does have a market long term, basically.
But कुछ तो law आया था ना regarding exports of rice. मतलब I've heard something like that.
No, that's fine. That exports of rice thing will just, that's like stochastic process, basically. That is interim randomness. See, people
Okay,
do
like
eat
that.
rice and rice is like, then we can Google ki top rice exporters, basically.
Okay.
Now to do a competition analysis, like we can do top rice exporters. So this is the pure real time thing that we are doing basically.
Top 10 rice
Top 10,
exporters in
yeah, top
India.
10 basically. So what was ours? Chamatlal?
Chamanlal Sethia. Chamanlal Sethia.
Amar Singh Chawlewala is the top one basically.
Okay.
Let's try to find ours basically. Sri Lal Mahal Group.
Ours is ninth figure.
Our is the ninth one. But then again, even if it is ninth, it can be the best investment out of all.
Yes, right.
Number one can be a good business, may not be a good investment because it might be on that plateau thing, basically.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have to know more about this sector, dive deep into it, see how it works, who are the
Yes.
farmers who produce, etc. What is the competitive advantage? Why does that competitive advantage exist? So competitive advantage can be like networks also. For example, this number one Amar Singh Chawalwala may have got networks in various different countries that import rice, for example.
True. Yeah.
That way.
Yeah.
So good analysis, right? Basically.
Yeah.
So fine. I think we'll stop with this for this
ठीक है.
this particular balance sheet or annual report. Like I
हाँ.
wanted to give an overview of like how we can dive deep into things, basically.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
That way. So let's go back to like I think Gillette for a moment, or let's go back to the video. Let's complete that financial ratios. Basically.
Right. I should return to this.
Yeah, and after financial ratios for today, we will stop and continue in the next podcast, basically.
Okay, so
Like
this
that.
I think right now what is left is efficiency ratios onwards. So we'll finish.
Yeah, we'll finish till the end, basically, because ratios we'll understand quickly.
I'm sorry. What?
Ratios, we understand ratios quickly and intuitively, basically. So this won't take time.
Correct. So inventory turnover ratio तो कर लिया. अभी receivables turnover ratio. If I had to guess, how fast we can pay off
how
probably.
fast we are getting the receivables from the customers.
Right, yeah.
Inventory turnover ratio is like the velocity of sales of inventory.
Yes, correct.
Here, how fast we are getting it from the customers, basically.
Yeah, correct. As a ratio of
means accounts receivable should be smaller, basically, because you are getting them faster.
Yes.
So this ratio should be higher. Higher is the better, basically.
Yes, higher is better. Correct. So that is done, because you're getting stuff faster. Like receivables is very small. If the receiver is very small, it's fast. Actually, in B2C, it will be negligible, right? So, I mean, yeah, like.
Anyway. No, but still, there are people do say that 2 महीने के बाद pay करता हूँ. People do say that basically.
Yeah. ठीक है. Asset turnover. So how much? Okay, your total
like
assets. How much the revenue?
How much revenue is being generated compared to total assets, basically. Like,
yes. So it's like how much bang for the buck are you getting for your total
kind
assets,
of for your fixed assets, for your property, plant, equipment, for the real thing that you have.
Yeah.
How much bang for your buck are you getting, kind of.
Yeah.
These ratios are more like red flags, basically. If the ratios are bad, then that's a question mark. So normally, if you're going to invest in some companies, we are just going to check that, okay, they are within normal operational ranges and kind of meeting like industry standards, basically. Like
that's a good insight. Yeah. That's the
what
purpose
else
of this.
Will you think about asset turnover ratio, basically? That's what we'll think, right? Basically, okay. इस कंपनी के पास इतना asset है, उसके ऊपर वो इतना पैसा बना रहे, basically. That kind of thing.
Right.
Another, so basically this company, the company that we talk, and like I believe in equity rather than asset. So the company that we talked about had basic equity of 410 CR. So they were making 64 crores on 410 CR, basically, of equity.
Correct. Yeah.
So that is what I'll compare with other company, what they are making.
Yeah.
Like that. Because how does it, now think about it, matter if a company has 1000 CR worth of assets and 800 CR worth of liabilities versus 600 CR worth of assets and 400 CR worth of liabilities. Means total equity to 200 CR ही हो गया ना दोनों केस में.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. अभी payables turnover ratio करता हूँ.
Yeah, even his audio is not required because here we can see it on screen, na, basically.
Yeah.
Anybody who is like smart, slightly smart, that can get that, basically.
Yeah, correct. So cost of goods sold. This is again that time period. Cost of goods sold is certain this thing upon the accounts payable. Okay, so payable as a ratio of payables that to generate that level of cost of goods sold or to produce so much, it's not like you're having to borrow too much. So if you're borrowing anything, then are you getting maximum productivity in terms of production out of that? That's what it
Yeah.
seems
So
like to me.
accounts payable should be less
Huh.
compared to cost of goods sold. So again, this ratio should be higher.
High. Yeah.
Accounts payable. So you are generating less debt basically in order
Yeah.
to sell goods. That is what it means.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Less debt or less borrowing or less taking from people in order to sell goods basically.
Correct.
That way.
Correct. Correct.
And it does make sense. This is an efficiency ratio. Think about it.
Huh.
Basically.
Huh. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Less debt to produce more. Correct.
Right.
Now, cash conversion cycle. Let me see. Oh, cash. So these are the turnover ratios. Turnover ratios, I think in general, yeah, I think in general measure velocity. Can you say in all cases like payables,
Yeah, you
turnover,
can
and
say
cycle?
velocity. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Turnover
yeah.
ratios are actually measuring velocity. Think about it.
Velocity, right? Yeah, yeah.
Velocity of things happening and
Yes,
efficiency of things happening, basically like
yes,
that.
correct, correct.
So particularly payables turnover ratio is more than velocity. It is measuring efficiency. Means how less you need
Correct,
to
correct.
borrow in order to do the same thing.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
velocity and efficiency, like
Velocity and
somewhere
efficiency,
it's
correct.
only purely efficiency as well, basically.
Uh, Now, cash conversion cycle tells us the average number of days.
Hmm.
Okay, okay, okay. I think this is also velocity, but apparently velocity to get cash specific. That's what he said. So let's look at the
Correct, correct,
ratios
correct.
once.
Velocity to increase liquidity, something like that, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Increase slash maintain liquidity.
Huh.
So all these things are, defined for physical goods and items, basically. You can see that. Because when
Right,
all these
yeah.
ratios and everything were defined, basically, you
Hmm.
can you see that like it was a physical world back then, not the internet
Yeah,
world.
yeah. True, true.
So it is difficult to answer these for internet companies. What would be
True.
Microsoft CCP?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, okay, we'll try to answer basically, but we don't exactly know because
Right.
inventory, what is inventory? Software is now made once and for all, right?
Yeah.
Kind of. Of course,
Correct,
there
correct.
will be
Yeah.
enhancements and iterations for sure, but I'm just saying basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Digital products are hard to value because of that, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So in the digital domain, it comes more to brand, basically. It comes down more to
Hmm.
brand and, content like that, basically. Content that supports the brand and the lead generation and the lead conversion, the funnel thing, basically.
Right. Right.
For digital stuff, it's more like a marketing game, ultimately, after you build a very good product and service, basically.
Right. Right.
Especially for internet companies. These are all physical companies that we are talking about, right? Atoms.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
are talking about
Yeah.
atoms here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now, so day sales of inventory, how many days it takes to sell that inventory you have, plus how many? Okay. Is this a ratio itself, or I didn't understand actually that? Let me see. Cash conversion cycle, day sales of inventory. Okay, I think he explains all three of them in a bit. Yeah.
He's saying he is explaining everything, basically. No, it is. I don't think it's a ratio. It's just a cycle.
Ha. CCC
And
is the
day
like
sales
the
of
cycle, but
inventory is the
each of them
ratio,
are.
basically. Each of
I
them
think
are a ratio.
each of them are ratio, right? So, yeah. Okay. This is the inverse of
Makes
inventory
sense. Makes sense.
turnover.
So, so this should be smaller, basically.
Ha.
This should be smaller,
Oh,
basically.
into 365. Okay, okay, okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
what percentage of the year like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, it's like saying that my inventory will hold how much worth of sales of the year. So
Correct.
if
So
I have enough inventory for a month, then this will be 1/12.
So again, like I said, what we should do is for different types of companies, we should have a industry standard to compare to in a certain time
Yeah.
period, and we just
Yes.
should
Yes.
raise a red flag if there is a question mark that some ratios are going out of bounds for the company that we want to invest in or are already invested in, basically.
Yeah. Correct.
Not only
Correct.
for the
Correct. Correct.
companies that we want to invest in or
Correct.
are
Correct.
already invested in. Because also note that whatever companies we are already invested in, we are also supposed to keep a tab on them,
Tab
basically,
on that.
for
Correct. Correct.
if some of the fundamental assumptions because of which we invested are changing, basically, like
Yes.
that.
Yes. Correct. 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 Yeah. ठीक है. Okay. Yes. Makes sense, right? So again, this is like the counterpart of that receivables turnover, inverse
Correct.
of receivables turnover, and how much as a percentage of the year. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, these are not that deeply important, but we are doing it for the sake of completeness, basically.
Yes. Yes. Correct. 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 Yeah. I think this
Yeah.
just gives.
And
I
then,
mean, if
yeah.
you've already seen the turnover ratio, this is not very necessary, but yeah, I think it gives one neat thing. Cash conversion cycle uh,
Yes. Yes.
gives a neat picture of like, I mean, all three together, how the ratios are doing.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. And how long it takes for the entire cycle.
Mm.
Yeah. Turnover inventory, collects cash and pay their bills. Correct.
Correct. Well said. Yeah.
I mean, I just repeated him also, but yeah.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, so that is efficiency ratios. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. And then finally, price
Basically,
ratios
it's
we
three.
already know, like basically most of them.
Price ratio, most of them we already know. I think that's the more
Yeah.
straightforward. Yeah, maybe you can say that. I guess they're all
Yeah.
straightforward once you know it. I guess, but
Yeah. Earnings per share is like per share, how much earnings are there. Price to
correct,
earnings
correct.
ratio. PE.
First we need EPS, the earnings per share. That is just the entire earnings per number of share.
No,
Then
but then like I don't look at shares outstanding. I just look at the total market cap basically. So I kind of
yeah. You just cancel out both the per share per
yeah.
number
Per
of shares,
share
number of
portion
share
I
cancel
calculate.
out.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. But yeah, we'll do leverage ratios now, right?
Yeah, leverage ratios. Yeah. Leverage ratios we kind of discussed debt to asset, debt to equity, basically. Interest coverage.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. The
interest,
only thing that we
correct.
did not look at is like debt service coverage ratio,
Debt
basically.
service coverage ratio. Debt service coverage. Right.
You can even maximize the
Earnings
YouTube
before.
video.
I'm sorry.
On YouTube now you can maximize to that
Ah,
horizontally maximize basically. Even this, yeah.
Acha, horizontally maximize I can do, which is, oh, okay. Right. Okay. So
Generally for
EBITDA.
future reference also of YouTube videos that we'll be doing.
Right. Yeah. This will be much better. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which is equal to EBITDA. So, EBITDA is an earnings or a profit before your depreciation upon total debt service. But what is debt service again? Interest plus principal. Well, what about total debt you're paying back? Not
Total
just
debt you are paying back whatever it is. Yeah.
including the interest, but I think that's the
So earlier was
change.
only interest coverage, total matlab. So
Right,
earlier
right.
we are talking about only how much of interest can you pay total. Now this is about
Yes,
EMI.
yes.
Debt debt service coverage ratio deals with EMI
Okay.
rather than
Correct.
only interest, purely interest basically.
Makes sense. I think that EMI, correct.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Principal plus interest.
Yeah. So I think that, so this shows how much of profits do you have to pay your EMIs basically.
Pay back your debts basically that you have borrowed.
Yes. Correct. तो ये हो गया. Price ratios, do you want to get into any EPS and
I
PE?
think the
So
first two are quite easy, and
yeah,
we have been discussing them.
correct.
Price earnings to growth ratio, PEG ratio, basically. Yeah, we'll
हाँ,
get into all of these actually. The four price
yeah,
earnings
will
to growth ratio.
correct.
So even I would like to actually get into this earnings to growth.
हाँ. अच्छा.
Okay,
Okay.
so it's kind of
But
giving the
here,
double derivative kind of a thing basically. Ki how much are the
correct.
prices? Yeah, like price to earnings, how much is it growing? EPS earnings per
Correct,
share
correct,
growth basically.
correct. Okay, okay, right. Huh. But इसमें they
So
do say
price,
estimated EPS
just a
growth.
second, na, price to earnings should be lesser for a better company. Earnings per share would be more. So PEG ratio should be lesser for a better company.
Yeah, yeah, correct, correct, correct. Yeah,
PEG ratio should in general be, because EPS should be more basically like that.
correct, correct. Huh. But EPS growth seems to, I mean, they say that's an estimate that represents the projected annual growth. So here, I feel like it starts to get a bit dicey
Yeah, little
because
bit
EPS
dicey. Like
growth.
this is something
Huh,
that just means we have to think more about it basically. That
huh, huh, huh. So future prediction like that, yeah, it gets more
correct.
dicey than okay. Right. But
Right.
yeah, but I guess it is what it is then. Huh.
Yeah. Dividends per share is just like how much dividends they are paying
Yeah,
basically.
that is quite straightforward, right? How much
Dividend yield
overall
ratio and
total
dividend payout
dividends?
ratio. That is all related to kind of if they are having extra cash flow. If the company is having extra cash flow, how much is it kind of distributing to its promoters basically. That way. You can go through it though,
Haha,
basically.
I'll go to these. Dividend per share, I think, seems a bit more. I think dividends paid minus that's dividends. Dividend yield. Yeah. Okay, got it. So basically, dividends per share as a percentage of the share price.
Correct.
Okay, this is the entire dividends. Okay, one is as a percentage of the yield is as a percentage of share price, and this is the entire dividends as a percentage of the net profit. So how much of the net profit itself is being paid out like that? ठीक है. Which is also important, yeah, to know how generous the company is to investors, I guess.
Mm-hmm. See, not exactly that. I think that's like if we go more into the detail of it, if the company has successful expansion plan, potential successful expansion plans, then the company
Right,
should not pay out dividends basically.
right, right,
And
right.
if the company is restricted to a geographical location, like for example, if the
Huh.
company is manufacturing something in the United States and being able to sell only in the United States, and because of some like the trade restrictions, it's not able to export. So if it
Hmm.
generates surplus cash by its operations, by sales, etc., then the
Right,
surplus cash can be distributed to investors if there are no growth or expansion plans.
right,
So,
right.
so
Correct.
dividend yields are generally high for companies that are not trying to innovatively expand. They have kind of hit the
Right.
market cap plateau kind of a thing, basically.
Okay,
Right? That
okay, right,
in the JS curve, they are in the plateau region, and then they are
right,
not finding a new JS curve, basically, something like that.
right,
Instead of just
right.
keeping the
Okay,
cash
okay.
on the book, it's like they are distributing the cash rather than reinvesting, basically, or side
Right,
investing,
right.
opening new
Good
verticals.
point.
This is
Hmm.
for a relatively profitable company, basically. But
Right.
generally, if a company is paying out dividends, it's a good sign in general rather than a bad sign. A company
Hmm.
that is in debt never pays out dividends, basically.
Right,
Hardly any
huh?
time.
It's like a mixed signal of sorts, right? That okay, they're
Mixed signal,
profitable.
but then there can be one case where promoters are badmash and they want to extract money from the company. So there can be two ways, right? Sales of equity and earnings
Uh,
because of. So
correct.
dividends correspond to earnings because of equity. Dividends is like rental income, basically.
Hmm. Got it.
But
Got it. Right. Yeah.
but the promoters or like the majority
Hmm.
decision makers in the board or they decide the dividends, right? Kind of a thing. So
Right. Right. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the promoters may say that okay, I will pay extremely high dividends basically to myself. Exactly.
Hmm.
Right.
Right.
But that
Right.
might not be in the best interest of the company. So this is when the promoter is thinking short term, basically.
Right. Right. Got it.
So
Got
that
it.
also has basically. So we can like have some analysis like is the company reaching market saturation? If then it is paying dividends, it's a good thing. But if the company is
Hmm.
not even reaching market saturation and like let's say for Chamath Lal Setia,
Right.
they are at 9 numbers basically right now. They are not reaching market saturation cap, right? Example. So if they are paying
Right.
too
Right.
much dividends, then that means that the promoter to get money out of
Hmm.
the company basically, which is not
Right.
always
Right.
a bad
Correct.
thing. Promoters will try that for sure, which is not always a bad thing. But in
Okay.
general, that's like a mixed signal. We have to like be aware about that
Hmm.
basically. Dividends can be a mixed
Right.
signal
Right.
in general.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Hmm.
I think good first session about
About
fundamental
ratios,
analysis,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. About fundamental
About
analysis.
ratios also, and balance sheets and income statements also. Cash flow statement is something that we did not look at, basically. So
Yes, yes,
I
correct.
think in the next one we can talk about moats and then complete the analysis of Gillette, and maybe we can take one more company, basically, something like that.
Okay, okay, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Can take any other company, like I can I'll see which one to take, basically, a little bit.
Okay,
You can
okay.
also like choose, pick and choose, etc. Asynchronously also you can communicate with me. All right.
Sure, sure. Yeah. Hmm.
Are there any discussion points or like something that we can discuss or
I mean,
queries,
I
questions?
don't know if I mean, I don't know if this should be covered here, but I thought that, when is the right
Hmm.
time for a promoter to take out company or to pay themselves the profits that, like if you yourself
Hmm.
found like create a company, what
Okay, so the
when
answer
does
is
your
relatively simple. See,
uh,
answer is relatively simple. So take it out here, basically.
oh,
Look
one
at
second.
the.
Uh, oh, sorry,
So don't take it out here. Yeah.
one second. I'll kind of make you host again. I think because the inactivity, I get logged
Yeah,
out
yeah,
and
yeah.
then I have to come back. Are
Yeah,
you
when you come
also?
back, basically.
Then I have to make you host again.
Yeah,
Got it. Yeah, yeah. Tell me.
yeah. So here. So don't take things out here because here the company is
Yes.
growing.
Yes. Yes.
Here the company is in the J part of the curve, basically. So don't
Right.
take out
Right.
here. Take out of basically.
Right.
And but then for living life also you need to take something out, right? So in the form of
Hmm.
even salary plus dividend, something you need to take out
Right. Right.
just
Correct.
to live life also, basically.
Correct. 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 What I meant was that
And
for the excess, for the wealth, this thing only. That's what I meant.
yeah, for the wealth part, take out here, basically.
Right. Right.
And for the day to day, it's like a salary kind of a thing, basically. Here, salary plus
Right.
dividends
Right.
kind of.
Right. But that also probably
For
means
the
that,
wealth
for
part,
some time we will not be focusing on the next JS curve also, right? I mean, it delays that a bit then.
you don't need to take out everything, right? Basically,
Right.
you
Yeah.
can keep
Correct.
some. You can keep some to focus on the next JS curve and take some out. Basically, it's like that.
Yes. 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 Yes.
But then
Got
again,
it.
that is
Got
the
it.
age-old question of whether you are earning 100 rupees, then how much to invest back and how much to enjoy. Basically. So
Yes. Yes.
it's
Right.
more,
Right.
it's actually more to do with the fundamental question of like, it's like a fundamental question of life rather than this thing, basically. So if let's say
Correct.
you are here, then what to do? So okay, that's a very good question actually, but that should be, we should talk about, and I have a proper theory with respect to that, basically.
Uh, because I think
We
one
have
complicating
talked
factor
also.
here is that. Oh, sorry. I mean, hello, you there, Zenith?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, I'm listening.
Huh. Oh, yeah, no. So there's also the fact that, especially if you're a public company, your philosophy might not match. Like, you're being watched, right? Literally, your how much dividends you pay
Yes,
yourself and your equity in the company, etc., is being watched, which affects, so
yes,
your decisions affects then the this
yes.
thing of the
So
company. So
for
then, and
so
uh,
exactly because of this reason,
right,
most of the founders and promoters, they do
hmm.
something called as buy, borrow, die strategy, basically.
Right,
So you
right,
can
correct, correct,
so
correct.
basically they borrow against equity for their lifestyle rather than actually selling
Right.
equity, basically. That's the
Yes,
thing.
yes, right. It makes sense. Correct, 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 correct. That we had discussed again. Right. But we can do that again maybe in one of the future episodes,
Yeah, definitely,
much later
definitely,
maybe. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, you can hold it as a query, basically. I think in the next
Yeah,
one we
yeah,
should do
yeah.
modes because modes relate with investment philosophies, right?
Yes,
Modes
yes.
relate
I
with
think that's
investment
more
philosophy.
urgent. Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
let lead with modes and then do Gillette analysis and one more company's fundamental analysis, basically, like that.
Okay, sure, sure, sure. Right.
Yeah. So financial
Cool.
companies are notoriously hard to analyze. So we will do financial much later. But let's say
Okay.
FMCG is relatively easy to analyze. So we'll do the
Easy. Yeah.
relatively easy ones earlier. We can do Infosys
Yeah.
maybe, something like that. We'll see.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Okay. And it would be a good discussion to couple and pair with moves as to which companies to invest in and which to not, basically. Something like that.
Yeah, yeah, right. True, true, true.
And this is overall against the bigger backdrop of oil getting reduced and hence the world population probably going to reduce from 8, 9, 10 billion back to 2 to 3 billion and so on and so forth, basically.
Right, right. Correct, correct. Yes.
that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great first valuation discussion session for companies.
Yes. Yes. Good session.
Okay.
Good session.